Welcome, friends, to Breakfast in the Ruins, a Michael Moorcock-flavoured podcast. And this is episode 101. 101 episodes since we started a little bit over 5 years ago. And of course, our last episode was the birthday episode where we talked to Mike and we celebrated Phil's birthday. And thanks for some of the feedback I've had on the Mike interview. It's been really, really welcome. But one thing I missed, just before we put the episode out, was an email from Murray Palmer. And Murray said, "To Mike and Phil, in the swirling mist of time, another year has passed, marking your birth's anniversary. The cosmos pauses, acknowledging your existence within its vast tapestry. And as you traverse the moonbeam roads, those shimmering pathways connecting myriad worlds, may you discover new wonders and forge unbreakable bonds. Happy birthday, noble travellers." From Murray. Thanks, Murray. That was a really, really lovely email, and I'm sorry that I missed it before we actually got that episode out, but I was very, very delighted to read it out as the intro to this, and also wish you a very Merry Christmas and a very happy 2025, and that goes out, of course, to all of our listeners. Now, I'm going to keep this introduction pretty short because, as you'll probably see if you're looking at your podcatcher, this episode goes on for a while. We've got 3 parts to it. First of all, Miles and I were recently recording The Coming of the Terraphiles Part 3, so Miles decided to give me his Room 101 picks, which will, become evident as you listen. It was a lazy idea that I had to come up with a specific a specific episode 101 handle. And because I'm extraordinarily lazy, it generally involves talking about things and probably drinking some booze along the way as well. So Miles is up first, then Loz visited the kitchen of Derry and Tom's, the scene of many a previous D-whatever wandering beer table, on this occasion D10. So Phil will drink some wine and join us as we talk about our 101 picks, but also some that the patrons have very kindly sent in for us to mull over and vote upon. And then the third part is the return of Tash to Breakfast in the Ruins, where we will discuss, number 1, what she's been reading, what she's been up to in the last 3.5 years, but also what is the ideal additional alcoholic beverage that you would add to a snowball. So, join us. Oh, Miles is back. What a surprise. Hello, Miles, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Andy. I hope you've been having a wonderful time.
Yes, I have been having a wonderful time this Christmas. But of course, you know the concept for this hasty and lazy Christmas episode 101, and that is our Room 101. So you are going to tell me what your 3 terrible hatreds are in science fiction and fantasy that you would quite happily see condemned to a cellar and rats eating its face. What's number 1?
Right, number 1 is the short-lived second attempt by the ITV to capture the Doctor Who Saturday evening tea time slot after Primeval survived its 3-4 seasons. They tried with a series called Hunters. Sorry, not Hunters, Demons, which stars as the kind of mentor figure the guy who plays Gene Hunt in Ashes to Ashes and Life on Mars.
Yeah.
And it's a British Buffy the Vampire Slayer clone. But the writers thought, hey, you know what would be revolutionary? If we made the character of Buffy your typical boy. That's what Buffy the Vampire Slayer was needing. We just make your average milquetoast British lad the chosen one Slayer. Not missing that's the subversion of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, that the character who's usually the cheerleader who gets killed in the first 10 minutes of the film, make her the kick-ass Van Helsing hero.
Yeah.
And
I've got confused face going on here.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's like, you know what would be a really great idea for a show? Gene Hunt versus vampires. He can have the car from Life on Mars, he can have the car in Ashes to Ashes. If it's a Gene Hunt and the guy and the cops from those shows just going around beating up vampires, it would be amazing. But instead we get this I watched the first episode with my father with my stepfather, and I think within 30 minutes I got up and went, nope, I'm going, I am done. I am now a better writer because I've watched yet another attempt by British TV writers to write a genre show, and thinking that any of their attempts at subversion or cleverness haven't been done a million times before on better shows. It's just I don't think we like as I don't think that the British, outside of Doctor Who or like Merlin these days, can do mainstream telefantasy as well as we seem to do back in like the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Because I feel like with science fiction, I don't know, when it comes to science fiction TV, we like it seems to be like both creators and audiences are just always worried it's going to look like tinfoil on a black screen.
Yeah. British TV of the last 20 or 30 years has got a couple of really fucking terrible habits, hasn't it? Especially ITV. ITV, you know, they did, I don't know, Prime Suspect or whatever it was. It was like, holy shit, this is amazing and critically acclaimed. Therefore, we will do more things like this.
Yeah.
More. And then you've got like the Midsummer Murders stuff and everything. To me, ITV is I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of the Jungle or whatever the fuck it is, which I just can't deal with it. I can't deal with any of that crap. And it's the worst of the international football coverage if you compare it to the BBC. And you get endless detective shows which are just the same thing over and over and over again. But this time, it might be somebody who was in EastEnders for 4 years. Let's give them a role as a gritty detective based in fucking, I don't know, Rutland or something. Yeah, terrible.
Isn't the joke about British TV drama is that we have 3 shows? There's the crime drama, the medical drama, and the medical crime drama.
Medical crime drama, yeah, absolutely. And even then, the medical crime drama won't be as fun as something like Quincy.
No,
you know, yeah,
or Diagnosis Murder.
Or Diagnosis Murder.
That's quintessential post-college, like 3-8 p.m.
Yeah.
BBC One viewing, and maybe I'm just bitter that I was too young to catch Ultraviolet when it was on Channel 4. But it's just like how. You know, you had you had all the elements you need, not to make a good show, but to watch Gene Hunt, like, duffing up vampires in, like, a dark warehouse. Like, no, there's 3 seasons right there. That's TV gold. But no, you're going to give us... But, you know, you're going to give us Poundland budget Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
It does sound genuinely awful.
It was. Like... I could make it through a good season or 2 of Primeval, and I couldn't make it through 30 minutes of this.
Yeah, I've never seen Primeval either, but then I genuinely tend to avoid ITV for all of the previously mentioned reasons. Yeah, Phil will watch all these detective shows because he loves them all. But I think even ITV's role in just constantly churning out detective or murder shows is even now is being threatened because there's shitloads of them on Netflix as well. Which Phil finds them all over the fucking place. If she'll be on iPlayer because the Bieber at it as well. She'll be on iPlayer and there'll be 4 or 5 new BBC ones that'll be like, you know, ever so slightly quirky or, you know, like sort of slightly more middle class and whimsical. Or, you know, the picaresque ones. It's not for me. I don't get it.
Or the gritty one, which is going to be like, I can't remember what it's called, but it's John Sims, and he's a policeman in Brighton. I think it's based off like the Peter James series of books. But right. I'm just thinking, is it even going to be shot in Brighton, or is it just going to be Worthing? And they're just going to say it's Brighton.
There is one I'm going to watch, and I've never read the books, but Phil really likes the books, and he's a Bradford author. I think it's called A.A. Dand.
Okay.
And she's got his books, and they're set in Bradford as well, and they're filming a series of it in Bradford. So I might watch that just so you can go, oh look,
Bradford.
It's such and such a place, because there's a program called The Bay, which is a cop show set in Markham. And we love Markham. We go to Markham all the time. And it's really amusing watching The Bay. I've got to say, the first series was pretty good. The rest of it's been pretty shit. But it's like there'll be, I don't know, a stabbing on a street just off the promenade on the bay, and then we'll walk past it and go, that's where the ambulance and the stabbing was in that episode. But it's really funny because there's a cafe in Morecambe which is absolutely amazing, called, I forgot what it's called already, but it's a proper greasy spoon. And we go to it from time to time. It's always full. It's always busy. You get like the most basic kind of quality ingredients, but it's dirt cheap and it's beloved by locals.
Oh,
and it's wonderful. And there was a scene. Sorry, there was a scene where the coppers are over the road from it, and they say, "Oh, well, they'll have it on their CCTV. I'll go over and check it out." Right. So it then cuts to a scene in the police station where they're watching the CCTV tape from this cafe, and it looks like a fucking 1995 internet cafe, but with walnut tables. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life, but it is amusing. So I want to see him do that with Bradford.
Oh God, man, I have not had a chance to go to a greasy spoon in a too long a time. No, this is why I like it when my friends my US friends check out the film Quadrophenia, because I'm able to go, yep, been down there. It's always funny seeing locations of. It's like my wife and I went to see the film Detective Pikachu, and so much of it is shot in London. I could just go, yep, I've been there. I think I was drunk there once.
Yeah. Right. What is number 2 on your Room 101 of sci-fi and fantasy?
Number 2, I'm sure someone else might already say this, but I am saying bad SFF cover art, especially from the mid-90s onwards. When it's kind of, with Photoshop, it's just become very sort of generic and dull. In the way I think it's so people don't feel embarrassed about reading sci-fi or fantasy on the tube. On the same time, given the amount of boobs you have on either your average gore cover or some of the old NEL Edgar Rice Burroughs Mars novels, I kind of get it at some levels. But it's just things like, especially the current Ian N. Banks kind of covers. I mean, the ones that had in the early 90s at least had some sort of spaceships or a planetscape. And now it's usually something, it's something evocative. Like I always remember the cover from Player of Games, which is a man standing on a game board, but it's from a very forced perspective angle, so a lot of these strange game pieces look like giants. And now it's just a blue Photoshop filter of a guy standing with his arms crossed.
Oh,
it's just like, no.
It?
Or like some of more recent re-releases of Terry Pratchett, which take either like the Josh Kidby, or I can't remember who did the covers after Kidby passed away, but it's just kind of it's just very sort of boring and dull.
Yeah.
And you just want these covers to kind of just pop, because I remember, when being a kid, or even still being in like a secondhand bookshop and just seeing this weird, almost like psychedelic, like prog rock cover, like, what the fuck is that? I must buy it.
Yeah, I am in total agreement. Modern book covers are absolute garbage. You only have to look at the covers to James Herbert books these days. It's not just sci-fi and fantasy, but James Herbert. Just check out the last couple of runs of editions of James Herbert books and see how fucking garbage the covers are.
You've seen my cover for The Fog. It's a guy looking grumpy with a kind of like a forest.
Yes.
Superimposed.
Yeah. I was actually thinking of that when I thought of James Herbert. I must have been remembering your copy of it. Yeah, really, really bad. So yes, that also can go in Room 101. I'm just trying to remember the format of the TV show. I'm not sure I can put Demons in Room 101 until I've checked out 10 minutes of it. Right, but best funny description, rats will eat its face.
Hooray!
Number 3.
As a fan of the TV show Babylon 5, insert laugh track or booze, respectively. I love Babylon 5. I am not unaware of where it kind of falls down or how it looks at
I
times.
was booing internally. Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm a Doctor Who fan. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm always been very much upset that the kind of spin-off sequel show Crusade didn't make it past 12 episodes, because the first season and a half of Babylon 5, it took a while to get going.
Yeah.
And I feel it's one of those cases where the show is showing potential of where it could be going, but because you haven't had the chance to let the show kind of breathe. And I feel that's the problem with a lot of shows in which shows are getting cancelled after one season or like 3 episodes on release. And it's just like, yeah, but most TV shows, you need to kind of, you need to give it time to kind of see where it's going to go, how it's going to turn out. Like you get a lot of these these kind of shows on Netflix, which are clearly being written by being multi-parter stories in general, but it doesn't, it gets cut, it gets, removed as a tax write-off for David Zaslav. Or the show, did you ever see a show in the 90s called Dark Skies?
Yes, I did. I watched the first 3 or 4 episodes and I quite enjoyed it, but then it never got renewed, did it?
No,
so I
and
thought I'm not going to bother wasting my time finishing it.
The premise of what it was going to be was each season was going to be a decade in American history. Like the first season was the 1960s, then 1970s, and then leading up with a final season in the present. I think either the 90s or like the first decade of the 20th century, when the alien invasion might finally happen. Yeah. But again, it's just like it never really got a good airing slot in the UK. It was like Channel 4 at 11 p.m. on Mondays.
Yeah.
It's like the same problem that happened to Farscape, where it just had the most oddest... It just got bumped around. Or like Space Above and Beyond, which was a fantastic show.
Yeah, Space Above and Beyond is one of those shows that we used to... that got bumped around the schedules. We would be completely mashed at midnight and just find it and go, oh, what's this? Yeah. This is quite interesting.
I think that's what I missed about being young. It's like being up at 3 a.m. and you put on ITV and it's the War of the Worlds TV show. Yeah. But it's the second season of the War of the Worlds TV show when they've entirely changed everything. You're like, what the fuck am I watching?
Yeah. Yeah. That was such a weird series, that second series, where they basically retconned everything, killed Colonel Ironhorse or whoever he was in episode 1, and just brought TV Highlander guy in instead. Adrian Paul, was it?
Yeah, Adrian Paul before he became TV's Highlander guy. Which I feel
pre-TV's Highlander.
In the UK, Highlander, I think, if I remember, also had the same unceremoniously dumped at 2 a.m. in ITV schedules.
Right, so clarify for me, what is going in room 101? Babylon 5?
No, don't. Nice try. I would say...
it. Oh, so close.
You're not going to get your Christmas present this year from me, Andy.
Yeah.
I'm going to say TV shows being cancelled too soon.
Oh, so TV executives who don't give stuff a fair chance.
Yes, TV executives who value bottom line over decent storytelling.
All right, fair. I think they can go in room 101. Yeah.
That's right. Michael Grade's going in room 101.
Yes, he is. Yeah. Although, I don't know though. Bit torn on that because I probably would have cancelled Sylvester McCoy Doctor Who as well. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
But no. On balance, yes. Rats balance. Can eat their faces. Right. Thanks, Miles. Thank you for your room 101 picks for problem. Episode 101. And Merry Christmas to you and Rihanna. We'll see you in 2025.
Merry Christmas to you and Phil and everyone at home.
All right, we're back at Derry Tom's. It's Christmas. It's episode 101. And we've got Phil. Say hello, Phil.
Hello.
Hello. And we've got Loz.
Hi.
Hello. You are Loz, you are Phil, I am Andy. It's Breakfast in the Ruins, episode 101, and we have a stupid plan, which is really fucking lazy. we drink loads of booze, and we discuss.
The clever part, surely.
That's the clever part.
Yeah.
The dumb part is we just rip off an old TV show and do our sci-fi and fantasy Room 101, which means that we just pick 3 things each that we would happily see condemned to a room to have its face eaten by rats, or strapped into a chair and wear a rat helmet stroke cage and have its face eaten by rats.
So we're not doing the generation game then?
No.
Yeah,
maybe in 2025.
All right, okay.
Yeah. In which case we have to
Brought me
invent...
pottery kit as
We'll have
well.
to get someone to make a conveyor belt as well.
Excellent.
Which I'm far too lazy to do.
Yeah, I'm not going to
Good
do that.
little.
Yeah. Let's stick with this idea.
I think it's a really good idea. I really enjoy it.
Well, thanks, Phil. But you are my wife, so I expect nothing less than uncritical support.
Yeah, and that segue of like episode 101, it kind of lends itself slightly, doesn't it?
Well, It lends itself entirely to someone who's really fucking lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I asked you both to come up with your episode 101, Room 101 picks. And I also asked a bunch of the patrons to send some in as well. So I've not really thought particularly hard or long about how...
I'm currently thinking about it now.
Yeah, about how we structure this. But so we could do it a number of different ways. We could read out some patron picks and vote on them. I've also got an extraordinarily lazy quiz, which is the Danish Glossary Quiz. Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I thought of it like 20 minutes ago.
Excellent.
But will we have time for it when you said we've got loads of other people's 101 picks to review?
Well, I guess we'll just see how we go.
Okay.
Let's hope so.
We've also got a
Could be out this at midnight.
Yeah, we may well be. We've also got a D10 Wandering Beer Slate. And, funny story, you know, I don't know if you're aware, but Twitter has introduced an AI function called Grok. Right?
You mean X?
No, I mean Twitter.
Oh, right.
I mean, I will not call it that. But it's introduced this new feature called Grok. And I saw someone the other day had posted something on Blue Sky saying they'd looked at something on Grok, and I was like, I'm not fucking looking at anything on Grok or on Twitter. You can fuck off. And I went on Twitter and asked Grok to tell me about the Breakfast in the Ruins podcast.
Oh.
And it actually came up with a surprisingly accurate summary of what the podcast is about, including a couple of sentences on the D6 Wandering Beer Table.
Really?
Which I thought was a bit fucking weird. But yeah,
and scary.
Yeah. So obviously, Leon is watching us.
He is.
That is scary, actually.
Yeah, it is. I didn't mean anything that I said at all.
Your Honour.
Now, we could go with this Wandering Beer Table in a couple of ways. Number one is we could go along and read them all, but that'll probably add 20 minutes to the podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just roll and get the first one underway.
Yeah, I
What
think
do
we
you
should do that.
Yeah.
Right. In that case, you roll the Brass Cage of Doom, which is a little metal D20 that's really hard to read. What does it say? What does it say, Loz?
I think it's a 6.
Is that a 6?
Well, it's a 16.
So that counts as a 6.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pull that one out. What we got?
This one is Spruce It Up, Spruce Saison.
A saison.
Yeah. Can't read that. Embodying the spirit of a winter wonderland, this traditional saison takes on a festive twist with fresh spruce and pine. So we've got like basically a Christmas tree flavoured
It sounds like
beer.
toilet cleaner.
It does, doesn't it?
Right. While Loz is pouring out our toilet cleaner saison, Phil, what is your first pick for 101?
Oh.
Yeah, let's go. Let's just get into it.
I thought you were going to ask what I was drinking.
Oh, what are you drinking, Phil?
Well, I'm just starting easy. I'm just having a glass of mulled wine.
Ah. Is it one of those cheap supermarket mulled wines we've picked up over the years?
No, I made it.
You've made your own mulled wine.
What wine did you use?
I used a Malbec from
Ah,
Asda.
you posh git. You know, with your fancy Malbec.
Yeah. And how is it?
It's all right, yes.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Added some bits of orange, a bit of fruit.
Okay. While
vodka.
we test the toilet cleaner saison, why don't you tell us what your first Room 101 pick is?
Now, I don't want to start by getting us out of sync by doing it wrong,
Yeah.
but
There is no right, there is no wrong, there is only what is.
my first pick is all the Twilight movies.
Ooh.
Now, go back many years when the books came out. One of my work colleagues said she'd just found this great book and it had her up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Was it
And she
really
was
small print? Couldn't read it very well.
And she was going to lend them to me. And the same thing happened to me. I was hooked. I was reading.
Really?
Oh, amazing.
I thought you had good taste in books, usually.
Have you read them?
No.
They are really well.
Why haven't you read this YA vampire trilogy, Loz?
I don't think
fair-
it's my oeuvre.
Yeah, but to be fair, don't knock it if you haven't read it.
No, totally, I get that.
And then I watched the first movie, and it was the biggest pile of shit I've ever seen. And they've never improved. They were awful.
I've never watched a full one. I think I've seen about 10 minutes of one. It was a bit winsome, shit, vampires, boo, no thanks.
Nobody had any chemistry. Oh, everything. There's so much wrong with all of them.
I think I've only ever seen scraps of it. But I do seem to recall being exposed to the CGI baby that the werewolf boy somehow falls in love with and marries when it grows up or something.
Oh, yeah.
So for that reason, it can fuck right off. And okay, so put it to the vote. Obviously, your vote, Phil. You've already voted.
Yes.
So I also vote to put the Twilight movies into Room 101 because they look like a massive festering sack of shit.
Yes.
Laws, you have the casting vote.
I think the weird thing about them is like Kristen Stewart and Patterson are actually good actors.
Both doing great work.
Yeah, they're both really good actors. So obviously the script is balls. Never read the book. For me, teenage vampires can all fuck off as a genre. So yeah, I'm up for that.
All right. Well, we don't have any fancy sound effects for Room 101, but all we can say is all together, yes, it can fuck off into Room 101. Hooray!
Right.
So that's the first one down. Okay, Loz. So this pine toilet cleaner beer.
Yeah, it's like it tastes like a saison. It's not. It tastes like a saison that's been watered down a bit to me.
I don't like it.
No, I don't.
I don't like it.
It's a.
I'm sorry, Vocation Brewery. We are not sponsored this evening by Vocation Brewery, by the way, but we do have 6 of our beers at Vocation. 2 of them are Tiny Rebel.
We could always swap a couple out.
We can swap a couple out, Cal, because you brought some.
Yeah.
We'll let them cool down. But yes, maybe at the halfway point we'll go, whoa, let's shake this up and move a
'cause I
couple
think,
out.
Yeah, it's just a bit insipid to me. It's like I'm not tasting pine.
That's a bonus, though, isn't it?
Yes, but
I don't know.
why build the
In a
advertised
way,
pine?
I'm mildly disappointed that they haven't had the bottle to follow through and have it taste of pine needle cleaner.
I can't think of anything worse. Well, I probably can, actually.
Right, I tell you what then, why don't we
drunk it.
flip on to a patron pick?
Oh, okay.
Okay, so first up, we've got Mike Watson. And Mike Watson has picked the Rivers of London novel.
Novel or novels?
No, the first Rivers of London
Oh, right,
novel,
okay.
I think. Now, I've not read it, so I can't really cast an opinion on it, but let's see what his justification is. So it says it features an investigator so inept he would make the poorest Call of Cthulhu investigator look like Sherlock Holmes. From what I recall, there's a passage in the book where our intrepid investigator is viewing CCTV footage of a murderer, which described by him having a crescent face or chin wearing a Smurf's hat. So basically, Mr. Punch. But he fails to recognise this. You could argue that our investigator is possibly too young to know who Mr. Punch is, but when he later reveals that he is a rookie police officer, and as a rookie police officer, he used to patrol the Covent Garden Puppet Festival, where he would have surely come across Punch and Judy.
Yeah, that's quite an erudite hating.
Yeah, it's very specific. I don't know, Mike. I've not read it, and
There's loads of books, though, isn't there?
there is. Yeah, I find it hard to have an opinion on this one. Detective books aren't really my cup of tea. Phil, you're more of a detective book reader. If you were reading a detective book and the murderer was described as looking like Mr. Punch but not using the words Mr. Punch in the first instance, but the investigator, as part of his beat, had a puppet festival, would he be a shit investigator?
Because he didn't recognise him as a puppet.
Yeah.
Was he actually a puppet?
I don't think so. I think he just looked like a puppet. It's hard to tell from Mike's description.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused.
I'm also confused.
I've
So let's just think this one over for a second whilst I roll another d20. D20 struck d10. So I've rolled a 13, which is number 3. And this is What's the Buzz?
Imperial Stout with marshmallow, caramel and chocolate at 8.4% from Lakes Brewing Company.
It does sound better though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just the
Marshmallow
8%. It's gonna taste like sugar.
When all you want is a treat, what better way to celebrate our 3rd birthday with soft fluffy marshmallow, layers of seductive caramel, all wrapped up under a blanket of chocolate. If this doesn't hit the spot, we aren't talking the same language. This is our cheeky take on the classic New Zealand chocolate bar, a buzz bar. All right, okay. So anyway, whilst I pour this, I think, Phil, because you're the detective fan... Sorry, go on, lad.
No, I was just going to say, just because he's not just a detective, isn't he a magic detective?
I don't know.
The Rivers of London one, he's investigating kind of magical
It's like
London.
mystical, magical
It's
London.
a bit... the synopsis I've read was a bit like Neverwhere kind of thing.
Right.
Contemporary, but there's like the magical division of nonsense. And
Because you're very much into detectives like me as well, aren't you?
yeah, I've dated a couple. No, I mean, joking. Yes, I am. Yeah, and magic detectives. I mean, for me, if you're going to do a contemporary kind of, you can't beat Constantine, can you? So that's the classic. Is it? I'll just describe.
Sorry, Andy's face was a picture there.
It's drink this one whilst very cold. Often the case with an Imperial Stout, isn't it? Especially the sweet one.
Hell's teeth.
You've got the same face.
Especially the sweet ones.
Oh,
Well,
mate.
I'm sorry, Mike. This is really outside of our comfort zone, this one. But if a specialist magical detective in London whose beat once included a Covent Garden puppet show doesn't know Mr. Punch when he sees it, fucking get in room 101.
Yeah, I'm ambivalent about it, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you feel that strongly about it,
Well,
go for it.
you know what? I'm getting the vote started. Phil, what do you think?
Sorry, I've moved on to the French detective. Is it Houdini? Poulin.
Okay. That's Spanish.
Yeah,
obviously.
concentrate.
Sorry.
Mike needs an answer to his question.
Yeah, it's a really big faux pas, isn't it?
Yeah. So what do you think?
Room
Rivers of
101.
London novel that none of us have ever read.
Seems a bit hard.
Casting. It does seem a little bit hard.
I would probably say no from my point of view because I've not read it.
Oh, well, okay. What about you, Phil? Is it too much to cast it into Room 101 when you've not even read it?
Well, there is that about it as well.
Because it won't exist ever again. So the Rivers of London RPG won't exist either.
Maybe for that reason we have to be a little bit strict on this and say we can't really.
No.
And maybe we should read it. You know me, I'll read any detective novel.
That should be our next challenge.
All right, there we go then. So, Mike, we're not going to put this one in Room 101, but Phil is going to read it and check it out to see if she agrees that it's a shit detective. All right, fair enough. Frankly, this beer could fuck off into Room 101.
Yeah, it's already has.
Yeah.
What a metaphorical, mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not.
All right, let's pick another one. Then. Let's skip on. I tell you what, Alistair's probably given us an easy one. Okay, so this is from Alistair Davison, and this one is actually mirrored also by Dave Voxman. So, the chosen one trope.
Yeah.
That kid on the farm struck in the orphanage who turned out to be the one who will save everything. Who knew? And it's put in brackets, although I do think Dune turns this on its head brilliantly. So yes, the chosen one trope.
Yes.
And we see this repeated frequently, don't we?
Well, it's in everything,
all
isn't it?
sorts of different media. And you know what? It is really shit and it is really boring.
It is. It's part of that. The Joseph Campbell hero
Yeah.
thing, isn't it, as well? I think it is boring, especially when. I mean, the last kind of big, apart from Dune, you've got like Harry Potter being the chosen one.
Yeah. They
Why,
They did it in Star Wars, in the prequels.
Yeah.
It was like all of a
Yeah.
sudden Darth Vader is Space Jesus.
That kind of took me out of it with the fact that, well, they made it midi-chlorians for a start. I'm not having that. That's, what you want about. And then going, oh, he's the chosen. Well, if he's the chosen one, who's chosen him? And
Yes.
and why? Because he was shit.
Yeah.
As the chosen one, wasn't
And if he was chosen, why do they disagree so much?
This is the whole thing about it is if you've got a chosen one, is who's chosen it. So you've got are you bringing fate into it? Are you bringing in gods into it? Stuff like that. Because you could argue Elric was the chosen one because he was chosen as the eternal champion to destroy the world. If you've not read the last one, just forget I said that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think the eternal champion characters really fit the chosen one trope though, do they? Because
it's not as he's not like a so was it the David Eddings ones who's a farmer?
I've no idea.
No,
is David Eddings the one who turned out to be a wrong one?
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
I've not read them.
Yeah, that wouldn't. Yeah, it is. It's lazy, isn't it? And for me, as I said, it comes down entirely to who's chosen them. Is it like did everyone have a vote?
It's lazy. It's boring. It's a substitute for character and plot and narrative kind of developments that indicate why somebody becomes a heroic individual for whatever reason. Or it substitutes things like
agency, doesn't it?
Yeah, agency and choice.
Yeah.
It's rather
It's like Stranger Things.
Stranger Things with 11. But I don't think 11 was a chosen one. I think it was just
but it becomes more and more. Everything becomes, and there's some really good characters around her, but sometimes they get a bit lost.
Yeah, but I see more 11 as kind of like more like a superhero trope, really. You know, when you've got or a mutant or something like that. You know, like the X-Men. I don't know. I don't see. I know what you mean because there is a lot of reliance on somebody to have. I think to have magical powers, and with the chosen one, it's always like that. Get out of jail free card when you need the baddie to die, isn't it? It's like the Voldemort Harry Potter thing. It's like only Harry Potter can defeat Voldemort. It's like, well, why? Because his mum really liked him. All right, okay.
Yeah, he who can't be named unless you're Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I'm getting a bit mixed up because Billy Bobby Brown obviously then did Godzilla, where again a lot of it was around her, and it just got a bit.
Well, Millie Bobby Brown is a good example of the chosen one thing, sort of, entering into real life and becoming like an actor thing. It's like Millie Bobby Brown is in every fucking thing, and every character she plays is like some kind of weird heroic success because it's Millie Bobby Brown, like that Sister of Sherlock Holmes stuff, and the one where she's a damsel in distress with a dragon and a sword, and I don't know. It's like she gets so much clout. She gets films made, which is great. She's like a young 19-year-old female Tom Cruise now.
Although, like you, I did like the first
Enola Holmes.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, it was good, and the second one was filmed in Hull, so you know.
I didn't mind the first one. I thought the second
seen
one was shite. We never got through it.
I've not seen it.
I've not. Maybe I should watch it.
I like the fact that Henry Cavill was Sherlock Holmes. In an alternative dimension, he is Sherlock Holmes.
I could
Brilliant.
never say it.
No, I couldn't. If you're picking anybody to be Sherlock Holmes, Henry Cavill would not be the one, would he?
Absolutely not.
But I think the chosen one thing, it's still, it goes back to superheroes as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It goes back to Greek mythology, but I think, stuff like Achilles, you can only be killed by your ankle or something. But I don't know. I don't like it. I think it is lazy, and I think it never explains why they are chosen. It's just like you've got like a birthmark in the shape of a hat or something, and it's like, all right, brilliant, yay, here's the chosen one.
I would accept that.
Yeah,
I would.
I should know. I've followed a few. Let's go back to the Messiah thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, okay, let's get it to the vote. Let's get this one over with then. Chosen ones, Phil, does it go in room 101?
I think it does. Yeah.
All right.
Can we have a caveat that Paul Atreides doesn't count?
Well, yeah, because that inverts the trope, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Because
I never want to read a book or watch a film again with a chosen one in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm happy for that to not exist.
Okay, Alistair, that one goes in the bin. Loz, what is your first pick for room 101?
You haven't done your own work, have you?
Uncharismatic edgelord characters.
Oh, give us an example.
Xander Cage is one. Yeah. Basically, every action film from the 80s, 90s.
Oh,
no. Hear me out.
Uh-huh.
Not necessarily the main character, but there's always like a uncharismatic edgelord character who I think Xander Cage is probably, because I probably watched one recently, just reminded me how much I hate that character. And there's every fantasy book has got a guy who is usually the hero or the hero's mate. He's got nothing about him apart from he's really angry and uncharismatic, and basically he's horrible to everybody, but he's the hero, and it's like, well, it's boring, isn't it? I hate it.
Could you name another one other than Xander Cage?
I'm just trying to think of some books.
If it was just Xander Cage, yeah. All right, let's go. Pull that lever.
Well, actually, it's the same actor. You've got the guy out of where he's got the eyes. Same.
Riddick.
Riddick.
Pitch Black.
Yeah.
Chronicles of Riddick.
Absolutely balls. Exactly. No, the film isn't. No, the film isn't crap. The character is.
Because Phil's got a hand over her mouth looking aghast at this.
Because he's got no charisma to him at all as a character. He's got... All he is just a surly knobhead. And everybody goes, oh, he's a surly knobhead, but at least he's a hero. Brilliant. And I just think there's no depth to any of the character. There's nothing likeable about...
I love it. I think it's part of his character.
He hasn't got a character. He's just like an angry man who's good at fighting.
He's had a shit life, though.
What was the...
Come on, defend him. He's had a shit life. He's been put upon...
He doesn't know who he is.
Yeah.
He doesn't know...
Good.
But he looks after people.
He does.
He has a great relationship with the dog in the third one.
Oh,
loves his dog.
Loves his dog.
Oh, yeah.
No. Not having it.
All right, okay, so...
but I'm not probably explaining it probably as well as I could, because there's quite a lot of books which are very similar. The David Gemmell books, right? Mm-hmm. So I'll give you some literary examples.
Yeah.
Druss the Legend. Mm-hmm. And... it's about an old hero. He's got an axe. He's really grumpy. That's one. He did another one where it was like a roguish character, but it was another... it's the anti-hero thing, but I don't mind an anti-hero as long as they've got something about them and they've got like a bit of personality. Just when your whole personality is being rude and grumpy to everybody... I mean, that's me, isn't it?
I know I sound a bit awkward, but I do love Riddick. But I do get what you're saying about these ones who come across and talk to people really surlish. And it's like, why do you expect people to talk to you? And
you wouldn't follow somebody like that, because ultimately you go, this bloke's a knob.
Yeah.
Yeah, he may be great in a fight, but come follow me and we'll go... Yeah, when they expanded the Riddick universe with the Deathmongers or whatever they were called, and that whole universe, and he was getting to be a bit of a chosen one character.
Oh yeah, but actually, because in the Chronicles of Riddick,
he was just
even more so in the director's cut, there's a really strong chosen one.
Yes,
angle,
there is,
isn't there? Which is the thing. I think we've actually discussed it the last time we watched it. That's the one thing we don't like about the extended director's cut. Is the whole chosen one, last survivor of Furia.
That's what Judi Dench was on about,
Yeah. So I think...
Judi Dench should be on it.
So let's say it this way then. Xander Cage, yes, get him in the bin. But the chosen one angle, we're marrying two picks here. One of yours and one of Alistair Davison's. But the chosen one angle in the extended director's cut, we're getting a little bit niche.
That is a bit niche. I think you're going away from the original... But you know what? I am a crushing nerd. From the original premise.
I think it's fair. But I would put that aspect of the expanded version of the Chronicles of Riddick into Room 101, but keep the rest of Chronicles of Riddick.
I don't... Yeah, I'm not asked about Chronicles of Riddick. I'm just talking about really badly written edgelord characters who just have like...
Hey man, I'm just trying to find a frame of reference.
They're like amazing at fighting, and that's it. And it's like... I've read so many fantasy books where the main character is just like, oh, he's a brilliant swordsman, but he's rude to everybody. He's got no charisma to him. It's just like...
Hawkmoon, then.
Yeah, you could argue Hawkmoon is... Yeah, when he the first book of Hawkmoon, he's a knob, isn't he?
Yeah.
If you've got him in that situation for the whole 4 books, that would be
okay.
it.
So let's try and qualify this just a little bit then. If you've got the blunt, rude, edgelord, knobhead heroes, great swordsman, if they have a qualifying sidekick who balances things out, like Deverk,
yeah, that's...
can we save them? Because I can't put Hawkmoon in room 101.
No, I'm not saying, but he's not all the way through.
Oh.
You know what I mean? There's kind of... with, for example, the Riddick character, he's just a knobhead all the way through.
Oh.
He could do...
but he isn't, though.
But he could do...
Because he's so nice to his dog.
Ignore the dog, right? Because that's easy. That's,
ignore the dog.
how do we round the character around? We'll give him a dog.
Yeah.
The thing is, if you hadn't said Riddick and did some other example, we wouldn't be having all this
No,
discussion.
exactly. That was the first 2 because...
Well, for that reason, Lord, I'm sorry, but you're outvoted. Edgelord, knobhead, heroes can't go into room 101 on this occasion because you picked Riddick.
I hate you.
I'm sorry. So let it never be said that there is favouritism on this podcast, because I think actually a couple of shit lazy quizzes ago there might have been an argument about whether you were my favourite when Phil was in the room. So on this occasion we've got to flip that on its head. No,
we all know who is the favourite.
Yeah, we've got to flip it on its head. Sorry. So no, that one will not go in room 101.
I think you'll regret that, you know.
Well,
when there's another edgelord shit character comes up, you'll be like, ooh.
It may well do.
Maybe we were wrong.
Right, we're going to go with my first pick then. So you two have had a pick, I'll have a pick. So for me, it's lazy connections. So like everyone's a relative, or you know, like Rey becoming fucking Palpatine's granddaughter in the 3rd Star Wars sequel movie, or the Frank Herbert Dune novels where everybody's an Atreides even 10,000 years ago, or everybody is a Harkonnen. The Dune Prophecy series, where it's like 10,000 years before Dune, but it's about Harkonnens and Atreides. It's lazy, it's shit.
You might have actually edged into one of my second bits.
Oh, well, someone else has also mentioned Dune Prophecy. So Dune Prophecy has come up a couple of times. But what's your second one? Let's go.
Mine's not specifically Dune.
Yeah.
It's sons, daughters, and relatives writing their parents' books, or basing books on other people's work.
Yeah.
For example, I mean, I know John le Carre's son's just written a Smiley book, but he was a novelist anyway, so I'll let him off. It's when you've got, and it probably goes back to the Dune thing, is when you've got the son of somebody or daughter working with a writer who could be good in their own right or not, but using that IP instead of writing something new.
Yeah.
And you can go for Christopher Tolkien and
get a real job, Christopher Tolkien.
Yeah, exactly. You've got obviously the Dune books, and
rest in peace, Christopher Tolkien.
And it goes back to that laziness of kind of Jack Atreides, Bernard Atreides, etc., and Frank Harkonnen,
Deirdre Harkonnen.
Yeah, exactly. Alan Adale, etc.
Yeah.
But that's my other one. But I don't want to impinge on anybody else's specific Dune things. But that fits into my either of like, I get you can create some magic with an IP that's already set up. Get that, but a lot of it is shit.
Yeah.
And it just lazy, and I've got nothing against I can't remember what's Mr. Herbert called.
Terry
Herbert.
Yeah.
But I get that he wants I get you. There's Tolkien, Christopher Tolkien, for example, wanted to kind of protect his father's legacy whilst making money out of it and doing unfinished. I mean, if you're going to do a book called Unfinished Tales, it's pretty much if you've asked your dad, Dad, this Unfinished Tales business, ever thought of published it? No, I'm not finished it, mate. So there's that. And then you've got Unfinished Tales 2, or whatever that was. And then something he wrote on the bog, and it gets
His
down
shopping list.
Yeah, and you get down to the fact that you've got somebody going, right, I had an idea. I wrote it on the bog, but I've got a notebook and I left my notebook behind. Somebody goes, it's a brilliant idea. Let's write 7 novels based on that one sentence.
Yeah. Spragg-de-Camp and Lynn Carter would do that and turn it into a Conan story.
Yeah. But that's kind of my, but back to the Dune thing.
Yeah, so
I'll tell you
what, let's just say I agree and all that can go in room 101.
Well, can I speak?
Yes.
Before we put it all in?
Oh, yeah.
No, well, I'd like to be the glass half full person and say, it's good that they want to carry on their father's legacy. But as you say, it feels like a money spinning, and if it's not written by the father fully, you notice the difference straight away. You hated some of the later Dune books, and it's...
Oh, yeah.
And the whole part of it is because of who wrote them. James Herbert.
Frank Herbert.
Frank Herbert. So I'm totally for putting it in.
Yeah. And Frank Herbert plotted 6 books.
Yeah.
I get it. And even the Dune books, the first 3 I think are brilliant. There's a couple of problematic bits, but the last 3 for me were a step too far.
I won't hear a word against God Emperor Dune.
No, God Emperor Dune. Sorry, that's
the
brilliant.
4th one.
Yeah, sorry, the 5th and 6th one, which I read out of order.
Which the fish speakers and
which completely confused the fuck out of me. So I was reading it because it was in the library days.
Yeah.
So got this book out thinking it was the 5th Dune book. It was the 6th one, and I was just reading it going, "What the hell is going on here? Who are the fish speakers?
Yeah."
What's happened? What's happened?
Yeah.
Why are they in a jungle in Arrakis?
Yeah.
And why is it now called Rakis?
Yeah.
There's loads of stuff like that.
Well, this is it. You follow certain authors because you love them because of how they write and what they write. It's like I love The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Yeah,
I know the author died really suddenly. Was it Carrots? Anyway, he died really suddenly. And he'd done most of the workings for the next book.
Yeah.
And I bought it.
I read
but
it.
I haven't got around to reading it.
They were easy readers, weren't they? I think the only problem with those books was he fell in love with Lysander, whatever the character was.
What did you think of the new one then? That they did. It
was all right. I thought they got worse anyway. I thought the first one was really good.
Yeah.
But I think because he wanted her. I think it's falling in love with your own creation, isn't it? And sometimes it's like, she's miles better than the boring journalist guy. Let's have more of her in it. And it just got a bit, it got a bit away from.
Because I love the journalist guy.
He's good. I can't remember his name, but yeah.
No,
but I really like the Swedish films are ace as well.
I love the Swedish films. Sorry.
So digress.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, let's get through this. So, lazy connections where everybody's a relative instead of coming up with new ideas, new plots, and new characters. I think that should go in room 101.
Can you explain just a tad more?
Okay, so
or examples.
So I gave the example of Rey in the 3rd Star Wars sequel movie. Becoming let's just make Palpatine's granddaughter.
That was
ours. Yeah. I occasionally continue to pick up Aliens spin-off novels. I don't know why. I punish myself. I think it's because there have been a couple that have been so good that I've wanted to try and find more that have been good, and they're always shit. But there's one recently, and it's about what happens to Bishop the droid after Alien 3. And
if that's the story we all wanted, wasn't
it? It's just like whatever. I'll read it. It's trash. I recognise that it's trash. And you've got a whole galaxy, but one of the main characters is Sergeant Apone's brother.
Yeah, I get that.
It's like, oh, fuck off. You've got a whole
you've got a whole galaxy
Universe.
of
Yeah.
fucking systems,
Yeah.
to do something with. Come up with something new instead of shitty fan service because a character who was in 20 minutes of Aliens who got 11 lines, who,
I can't remember what character that was.
the sergeant with the cigar who gets them all out of...
He's the uncharismatic edgelord
Yeah,
character.
right, so can we put that in room 101 and move on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm,
All right, yeah, fuck that. It's in room 101. And the other thing, which was a spin-off of that, was what you said, Laws, which is Brian Herbert writing Dune novels. Yeah, room 101, because the shit, I hate them.
I think.
And everybody in it is Derek Atreides.
I mean that main character, the TV show. I can't be doing with it. And the main character is called Derek, isn't he?
It's called
Or is it Alan?
Alan Branston or something. It's called Alan Branston. He was swallowed by a worm and got fire powers.
Yeah.
Roll the dice.
No thanks.
Yeah, it can go in.
Yeah.
Nepotism, I believe it. I think is that an 8 or a 0?
I think you need a different die.
That's a 3 again. So 1, 2, 3.
Oh no.
What we got?
We've got Fizz the Season, to be jolly. Mimosa IPA.
Ooh.
Uncork this festive spirit, obviously that'd be madness, with this soft and juicy New England IPA. Classic hop forward flavours. Blend with blood and Valencia oranges to deliver a zesty, citrusy charm of a mimosa.
Ah, all right. Let's pour that mother out into the dregs of whatever the last one was.
That's the stouty Clark one, isn't
Did
it?
you enjoy the stout?
No, it's disgraceful.
That was horrible.
Oh, okay.
It got better as it went along, but I'm not convinced.
I would definitely put that in room 101. Frankly.
Yeah.
And there is an argument that we have drunk so many of these clarty, sweet, puddingy stouts and porters. Should they all go in room 101?
Possibly. That's why I brought some. I brought a couple of porters just to balance it out, which are not sweet ones.
Yeah.
Which I thought might kind of help our palate, so we don't have to scrape our tongues to get the.
Yeah, and when we look at our beer slate, not all of them are disgusting puddingy stouts.
No, we've got a gingerbread stout.
Yeah.
Well, let me know if you want me to bring over anything.
No. You need to stop tidying up and concentrate on the job in hand and tell us what your second pick is.
I'm not tidying up, I was making room. You've got lots of gaps in that line there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'll win on this one.
Certainly not. I'm already. It's a no from me.
Oh, that's harsh, just because I got through on my first one. It's a specific book.
Go on then.
And after reading...
Sorry.
Is that a bit sharp?
It is very much.
the last
It's
one.
very much a hop forward IPA
Yeah.
with,
I don't know what
with a little bit of citrusy.
I don't know what hop forward means.
It
but
means dry. Hop forward IPA means it'll fucking desiccate you like a biscuit. You'll feel like a shitty rich tea that's been left out in the sun.
yeah, I often feel like that when I
Feel
go
like that right
abroad.
now. Just one mouthful.
Right, sorry, Phil. Go on.
No, you're fine. So, after reading Devils of D-Day,
Yeah.
I came across Graham Masterson's horror novel, and I thought, I'll give it a go. It's a modern one. And it was called The Soul Stealer.
Soul Stealer.
The Soul Stealer.
And you want that whole book in ROM 101?
I do. It was described as a chilling horror novel that will help you...
These are your notes, Phil.
Come on, Phil.
Come on, you can do
this.
it.
Oh,
I
it's
just
not
need to
even
make a
help.
note.
A chilling horror novel
Making
that
a
will keep
Phil
you...
Cartwriter on notes.
That will keep you gripped
read.
this winter.
Sorry, mate.
I can't believe
Come
you're
on,
laughing
keep
at
going.
me.
Sorry.
I've
Keep
done
going.
it. You've just talked over me.
Okay, yeah, so...
A chilling horror novel that will keep you gripped this winter.
Yeah.
It was dire.
Okay, tell us why.
So it started out and it was about a movie mogul who was abusing young women who wanted to be actresses who were children, underage. And it
Brilliant.
just made me think of Harvey
Weinstein.
Weinstein.
So it's Harvey Weinstein in the novel, but he even made him underage.
Oh yeah, but then at the
Just
end,
to make it really important.
but in the last bit, they brought in this demon to make it all. It's because of demons, but the demon will give power to these rich people so that they can then make a good movie. I'm like, shit. I finished it because I'm like, I have to finish most things, and
I would have probably set fire to it. I think.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's an easy, straightforward one for me. Room 101, that can go.
Yeah.
Plop.
It was.
Luckily, I didn't remember what it was called.
A Soul Stealer.
They now made me remember what it was called. What was that book we read last time?
Slimer.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've forgotten that as well. Oh, damn you to hell.
Yeah. No, you know what? I'm absolutely fine with that. That can go.
I have to say, I loved Devils of D-Day.
Yeah.
I really want to read Manitou, and I'm gonna.
Yeah.
But some of his he's got
What is
hundreds.
a Manitou?
Manitou is like a Native American demon. That's
But,
birthed whole from a woman.
right?
Yeah, because she's possessed. And we did Devils of D-Day for a Christmas special. You wouldn't know this, Lars, because you appear on this podcast but never listen to it. Boo! But we also watched the Manitou film.
Yes.
And the hero of Manitou is like a psychic stroke detective. He's not really a detective, he's a psychic, but he lives in groovy 70s San Francisco and basically makes all his money from doing readings for rich old women. And he's a bit of a...
That sounds quite good.
Yeah, he's actually a bit of a charlatan, almost.
Oh, he
but
is.
he has this circle of friends in San Francisco who are also psychics and like this sort of weird like system of people who are all his buddies. And they come across this case of this possessed woman or child, I can't remember. And he enlists the help of a Native American shaman who was played by Michael Ansara, who you'd recognise from a million TV shows in the 60s and 70s. And it's fucking ace, that film, isn't it? It's absolutely brilliant. Harry Erskine.
That made a good game, wouldn't it?
Well, it would make an amazing game.
Yeah.
And there's a whole series of Graham Masterton novels. He was a British author. But there's a whole series of these novels, and Harry Erskine appears in loads of them.
At least 3 I've seen when I was looking.
Yeah, and I would love there to be more Tony Curtis, Harry Erskine
Tony
movies.
was amazing.
Yeah.
You should watch it, love, honestly.
It's fantastic. So I think that book should go in room 101.
Yeah, as I say, a lot of his other books definitely keep that one. Yeah. I'm sorry, it was just...
There's perhaps a thematic link there as well with my second pick. But first of all, Lars, do you agree that should go in room 101?
Oh yeah, I've not read it, never would.
Yeah,
it shouldn't exist.
Okay, so
Bye.
My
No
second pick
offence
for room 101 before we go back to some patron ones, and it might be a bit controversial with some fantasy fans and some listeners, but my second pick is Thomas Covenant. Now I don't think you've ever read the Thomas Covenant books. So I think they were written in the 70s, and I first read them because my auntie was reading them. Auntie Josie was reading them. That's where I came across them. And they are, it's a trilogy. Well, there are 2 trilogies, but the first trilogy, it's called White Gold Wielder. It's an obvious attempt to exploit, the whole Tolkien mythos, certainly from a publishing perspective. White Gold Wielder, White Gold Ring, blah blah. Oh, I am a White Gold Wielder, by the way. I've got my wedding ring is white gold, so I do have something in common with Thomas Covenant, with the exception of.
I used to have one as well. I lost it in the loft or something. It was a sign.
So why do you think I've picked Thomas Covenant, the character?
He was very rapey, wasn't he?
Yes. He was an unrepentant rapist protagonist.
Really?
And a leper.
So the idea of the first Thomas Covenant novel is he suffers from leprosy.
Yeah. And
to cut a very long story short, he gets catapulted into this fantastic fantasy world. He's found... sort of delirious atop a hill or a mountain by a 14 or 15-year-old girl, and
Is that how young she was?
Yeah. And the virility of the land, it's called the land, capital T, capital L, floods into him, and he rapes her. And this all happens in the first couple of chapters. And when he realises what he's done, he panics, because he's already met her family and they're essentially putting him up. And he panics, and the panic is based upon, will she tell her family? and he's really relieved when he finds out that she hasn't told her family and her father that he raped her. The panic isn't moral guilt.
The justification of it, I remember reading about it. There was kind of an article about it. Was he didn't think he was in a real world.
Yeah.
And it was kind of, he thought it was just, well, it is a fantasy world, but he didn't think it was a real thing. Which brings him back to, as a character, so the first thing you would do is rape somebody. It's like...
Oh, this is like a fever dream. I just thought it was a fever dream in which I was raping a 14, 15-year-old girl.
Yeah, exactly.
And panicking in case she told her father.
Yeah. Setting that up as your main protagonist in
yeah,
that's how I struggled with Sabat.
Yeah,
it's Thomas Donaldson, isn't it?
Stephen Donaldson.
Stephen Donaldson.
I don't understand the need of making him rapey. Though there isn't a need.
No,
it's a shock value thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't even think with the Stephen Donaldson book, I don't think it was a shock value thing. I think it was a reflection on the author's own values.
I don't know. I mean, I read he did another section of books which I can't for the life of me.
Mordant's Need.
The only thing I remember about is one of the characters called Aileron, which is like part of an aeroplane.
Yeah.
And he was like the evil character, and he spent most of the time taking the top off the woman and larking around with a breast. That was that, and that it was like it seemingly every other chapter was like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna do this, and she was powerless or whatever. It was all a bit weird, to be honest, and it kind of touches on he was the chosen one for some reason, wasn't he? Chosen by who? We don't know.
I want to like my protagonist. I really want to like them.
You can get on with anti-heroes, can't you? If they've got a redemption or they've got something about them.
As long as they're not unrepentant rapists of 14-year-olds.
Yeah, that's not so good, is it? No. It's not a good starting block.
I appreciate that it's a high bar that I want my characters to meet.
It will. Yeah. If your protagonist finds out somebody else has raped somebody and they smash them in the face, which they shouldn't do, I can understand why they're doing it.
Yeah. It's a fantasy book. They'd smash him in the face with a hammer or something, it'd be fine.
Yeah. Had the girl's father discovered it and smashed Thomas's Covenant's face in with a hammer on chapter 4, and that was it. It all ended. It was just a short story.
He was then the protagonist, the dad, with the hammer.
He took over. Yeah.
Dad, hammer.
I will fight you on the floor. I killed Beric Halfhand or whatever his fucking name was, because he was a fucking tool.
Yeah. That was it. Yeah, Beric Halfhand.
Beric Halfhand. Yeah. Lord Fowl's Bane. Yeah.
That I'm not going to go there because that's my other one. Not specifically him.
Yeah.
But...
Well, do you want to go there now? We've already put Thomas Covenant in room 101.
We've put him in. Although I've not read him, I don't like.
Have I had one or two?
You've had one.
Oh, right, excellent. Right. So the other one is the Dark Lord trope.
Right. Yeah, Lord Fowl. Yeah.
So you've got Lord Fowl. Sauron will come to in a minute.
Yeah.
The Books of Shannara, which could be a 101 in itself.
Yeah.
And
some patrons they've not name checked them specifically. There are a couple of patrons which I will follow yours up with a couple of the patron picks.
And it's just the whole ultimate evil character. But you could lob Voldemort in there if you wanted to. He had a name.
Please do. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what I mean? The Dark Lord character who there's nothing about them. It's just pure evil. But it's just so lazy and boring. And so Lord Fowl, really.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were called Lord Fowl, right? And you were trying to like drum up an army or maybe a movement is going, all right, guys, I've got a couple of ideas. What I want to do is I want to take over the land. It's going to be ace. Are you interested? What's your name again? Lord Fowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so let's go on the list. We've got Lord Fowl, he's in.
Yeah.
Grima Wormtongue. Yeah, we'll take him.
We'll have him. Yeah. Just simply the Dark Lord. We'll have him.
Yeah.
And it's just that thing of like, there's this like metaphysical just blob of evil. And they always try and give them a form, don't they? So Lord Fowl is just a foul dude. I mean,
not just a clever name.
no, he was just Graham Wormtongue. He was a bit of a
twat.
bit of a twat. Yeah, you've got I can't remember what the Shannara ones, but I believe it was simply something the evil one, the Dark Lord, whatever it is, and it was just like it's so fucking lazy to have like right. What's the main antagonist? A big blob of evil. What? Maybe he lives on a mountain, because they usually do, don't they?
Yep.
It's not like you're a Dark Lord, you go, ooh, by the sea's quite chill, isn't it? Because maybe if he did, he probably wouldn't try and invade everywhere else. He'd just be going, it's quite nice, fish and chips, brilliant.
Fish and chips.
So basically for me, it's like this intangential, amorphous blob of evil that has no, it's not realistic, it's not anything, it's just like just there, isn't it? Sauron got a backstory and he was a massive eye, which is nice. What was his most evil thing? He built some rings, he wanted to kind of take over Middle Earth, so that's quite evil, isn't it? But that's just like any emperor, any kind of despot who wants to take over the world, and there's been millions of them in history. But Tolkien was clever because he brought in Saruman, and he brought in Gollum, and he brought in Grima Wormtongue, for example.
Oh yeah, brilliant move.
But he had other levels of evil in there, as opposed to the Shannara books. When I read them, you get. I honestly can't remember what the main baddie was called because I blocked it out and life's too short to reread it. You had that guy, and you might have like possibly a henchman who's a bit evil, Jeff or something, but he might be a skeleton.
My name's Jeff.
I'm a skeleton, man. Yeah, so that kind of thing. And he also had the Nazgul, which had a bit of nice backstory. Yeah. The problem is like Tolkien built an elaborate backstory for all these little characters, and it created like a really good mythology.
Sauron was the final form of something that had quite a lot of nuance going back a long way.
So I'm not throwing Sauron in there.
Yeah.
I'm just saying like he was the precursor to lots of shit writers going, right, who are we going to have as the big baddie? A big blob of usually black stuff in a mountain. So that's my thing.
Maybe we should lump this in with a couple of the other folks as well.
You see, the problem is I don't know. I haven't read any of the authors you're naming specifically.
Please never do.
And having explained
Lord Voldemort is pretty fucking lazy, isn't it?
But having explained it, I don't think Voldemort does, because he's got a lot of evil henchmen who do his work while he's regaining his strength.
And he does have a backstory.
He does have a really big backstory. Yeah.
It's not a big backstory, is it? He was an evil sorcerer. He tried to kill He tried to kill a couple. The baby got in the way. Ooh, yeah.
Who stopped him?
Yeah, exactly. And that's it. And then he was a bit crap and didn't have a nose for some reason.
Was it a CGI baby that a werewolf teenager fell in love with and married 15 years later?
You're back on Twilight.
If you ever pitch that to anybody, they'd be going,
yeah, let's make 2 movies of it.
Yeah, I like what you're saying.
And that's what I was just going to say. If he was so evil, why did it take him 2 fucking movies to try and end the story?
So
the climax was so boring.
I suppose it comes down to, right, how evil the main baddie is.
Yeah.
So with Voldemort, right, he was basically a fascist, wasn't he? Because he just wanted to get rid of the magic people were great, the non-magic people not so much. Yeah. So it's like a simple fascism kind of trope, isn't it? Some of the other ones don't have a plan apart from I want to take over the world and I will make it bow down to my whatever. It's like, well, it's a bit boring, isn't it? What are you going to do then?
And the other thing was, obviously with Voldemort, he was pissed off that a baby burnt him so bad.
Yeah,
He wanted revenge on
I
that.
still think he's shit.
Maybe we can lump in a few of these things to save some time, because we've got the Dark Lord thing, but also Gabriel Laycock, who also chose the Chosen One trope as well. But one of his other picks was the epic fantasy doorstop, 600 plus pages, and that's just the first part of the trilogy.
Yeah.
I think this all goes back to the same thing of ripping off Tolkien. Dave Voxman also has thrown in, I think he's got big 400-page tomes of high-stakes, well-saving plots. And his second pick was elves, dwarves, orcs, and any of the same tired and worn-out stock fantasy races. So there's quite a few things going here that all go back to the same well, which is Tolkien, and rip it all off. And Shannara did that as well, didn't it?
Oh, the Shannara ones were terrible.
Yeah.
The swords of Shannara, hats of Shannara, just, and that had elves, dwarfs in it, halflings, because they didn't use hobbits.
Yeah.
And it was just like a D&D story. Really.
Dragonlance.
Dragonlance.
Yeah, Colin Kender instead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrible.
So what do you think, Phil? After all these descriptions of all these heinous things, what do you think?
Well, I know when we said before we hadn't read stuff that we should put it up, but based on the discussions, I think they should go in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm for it.
Yeah, fuck those ill thought out villains.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fuck those ill thought out
Lazy.
villains.
Yeah.
Fuck 600-page books that are just the first of a trilogy or more about world-saving stuff with the Dark Lord, and anything that just lazily repeats or recycles Tolkien tropes.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Tad William books, because they're really long.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm naturally disposed against long books anyway because I'm a lazy reader.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, fuck it. That all goes in room 101. Patoom! Okay, I'm rolling
You
the
need to be
dice.
rolling.
I rolled a 20, which becomes a 10, and we've got less than 10 left, so I'll roll again. I roll
Or should you not just have one at the end?
a 1. Well, actually, yeah, okay.
Pump up the jam.
Pump up the jam, so that's 1 each.
Ooh.
So we've
Be a
got
bit sweet.
Tiny Rebel, Pump Up the Jam, OG Jam Donut Pale Ale. Fortunately, it's only 5%, and the Diddy cans, so we get 1 each.
Excellent.
Woohoo!
Ooh.
I'm looking forward to that one, actually.
I am. That'll be a nice palate cleanser.
Oh.
So remember we had a cola-based one before.
We
didn't
did.
Vanilla Vortex. Vanilla Cola Sour Beer.
Yeah.
And it's not too strong.
Maybe we'll have that one next, and we'll just we should eschew the dice and just simply drink it.
Yeah, I think we should do that.
How about that? And then we're on to D5 after that. By which point we might be face planting when we go for a
Dribbling
curry.
slightly, filling in.
So Phil, what is your last pick?
You haven't got any more that you want to...
Do you want me to go for Patreon picks? Do you want to save it up?
No, I'm quite happy.
No, let's do it. I'll go for Patreon
No,
picks.
I can get mine out of the way.
Okay, let's do it.
Because I know you disagree with me on this one.
Why? Tell us. Is it controversial?
Hard to be a god.
You can fuck right off.
What?
It's a film by Alexei German,
Yeah.
and it's based on the book Roadside Picnic by Arkady and Boris
No, it's not.
Strugatsky.
It's not. Roadside Picnic is the origins of Stalker. Hard to be a god is based upon Hard to be a god. You're shaking your head at me.
You're wrong.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
So
Anyway.
this pair of Russian brothers wrote a lot of sci-fi novels. They wrote Roadside Picnic, which is the basis for Stalker.
Well, apparently not, because Phil, your version. I'll be
Anyway,
in the middle.
just tell me about Hard to be a god and why you hate it.
It's 3 hours.
Right.
It rains constantly.
I don't mind rain. I live in Manchester, but go on.
I got to the point I couldn't watch anymore because it didn't stop raining. And they just kept walking
So
in
is
the
your problem
mud.
with weather?
Oh my god. No, because they just
I don't like rain, but
they just walked from one building to the next in
What's
the
it about?
wellies, in the tents.
what's it
Who
about?
knows? They were just walk through the rain.
Was it Russian
through the...
subtitles?
There's a lot of mud.
Oh,
There's a lot of
God,
ugly
so
people.
much mud. It's black and white,
Brilliant.
and it's all
And
rain
it's 3 hours.
and mud. I don't know how much
I-
rain last
I-
night.
Maybe we
think-
should just broaden this out for you, because since you've mentioned Roadside Picnic, you also hated Stalker.
Yeah.
So really, what you're saying is Russian sci-fi films, is it? Because
I
you
didn't
also
like
hate
Or is it,
Solaris.
or is it actually Andy making you watch these films?
Do you know?
Because I would probably throw you in 101 if I had to watch those films.
To be fair, over the years, we have watched a lot of movies.
You're a very patient woman, to be fair.
I watched one where I was actually gipping. And I don't know how I got through it.
Was that Sallow?
That was Sallow.
Oh, mate, you didn't make you watch Sallow. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I managed.
It's an important piece of cinema.
Any film where you're gipping all the way through, I think it's probably not for you, I think. Mate.
Centipede, where
I know, I'm aware of Centipede.
he fell asleep.
I fell asleep during you. She had to watch it.
And then he said to me, I watched it, I fast forward. And then he said, should we watch two?
So I think you actually do need to throw out 101. I've watched some absolute horse shit with him as well.
Yeah. The thing
Doll man.
Doll man.
Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man.
Yeah, we watched that about 5 times. Don't you knock Harley Davidson and Marlboro Man? We watched that about 5 times.
The thing is, I'm a completist. I like to finish what I start.
But sometimes you just don't need to.
Exactly.
Honestly, Human Centipede, you know what's going to happen. Nobody wants that.
And the hand of God. I got to the point, it's like, it's not going to stop raining. I'm leaving.
Okay, let's just go back to Had to Be a God and these Russian sci-fi films for a second. Right.
What's this one again?
This is Pump Up the Jam OG Jam Donut Pale Ale.
I'm not getting donuts.
No, but it's all right.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah.
It's just like a sweet jammy pale ale.
Right.
So, Had to Be a God, based on the book Had to Be a God by the Strugatsky brothers. And it's basically set on a medieval world that isn't Earth. And there are scientists there from Earth who've disguised themselves as locals in order to study them.
I think you mentioned this.
Yeah.
Oh,
But the film is really fascinating because there are only vague clues in the film that that's the case.
I didn't keep
You can watch the film.
It's too busy to look at the rain.
And you know when you watch like Terry Gilliam's Jabberwocky,
Yeah.
you sort of marvel at just how shitty and
Yeah.
grim and grubby everything is. Had to Be a God is that times 10 billion.
Right.
Everybody is weirdly ugly. Everybody is covered in shit. Everything's wet, everything's damp. The cinematography is fucking incredible. Every single frame of that movie is a work of art. Every single still from that movie is a work of art. Even if you watch it and you're like, what the fuck, I don't know what that was all about.
But it's the kind of like the point of, yeah, it looks amazing. Is it enjoyable?
Well, I enjoyed it.
Right. I know you would. Because there's loads of people covered in filth and looking a bit odd with no plot. It's like all your games.
It's a fair cop. It's a fair cop. Yeah.
That'd be your novel.
I mean, I read a review on Andrei Tarkovsky's Solaris because I wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt.
Fucking boring.
And it was like saying that it's artistic and profound meditations. People who see it as tedious and excessively something
Boring.
fail to grab how
But that comes...
profound it underpins his artistry. I get it underpins his artistry. It's boring.
There's profundity, and then there's like the whole thing is like, you know, with all the art things, you can be accused of being a Luddite or whatever because you don't appreciate a 5-hour black and white film in Russian about some guy vomiting into a bucket or something. It's like,
oh yeah, that's stuff I like.
Seriously,
the extended director's cut. But I get it. But I do like the fact that somebody has made it. So the fact is, from my point of view, certain stuff I'll never watch, but I love the fact that somebody's created that and don't give a shit about whether you like it or I like it,
It's niche, isn't it?
Yeah,
People
'cause
like
it-
him.
People like him over there.
Yeah, so basically, there's certain films made specifically for Andy. He has actually bought them and made you watch them. So I still think you might have to get to 101.
Actually, there's some more. Actually, now I think of it,
And of course,
What else?
I can imagine some of
the
the
one with the huge rape scene in it as well. That was
Irreversible.
pretty- Yeah.
It's
Like,
amazing how all you have to do is say
Yeah.
the one with the huge rape scene, and you know straight away.
Irreversibles.
To be
aren't
fair,
worse.
I wouldn't watch that a second time.
That was
No.
really.
We watched
quite
that together for the
disturbing.
first
Yeah, it's
time,
horrible.
and that was a really difficult watch.
Yeah.
Right, it's
You know?
horrendous. It's an amazing film. It's horrendous.
Yeah.
It's like, as you said, certain films you won't watch again.
Yeah.
Because why would you?
Well, the other
Put
one,
yourself
if
through.
Phil would watch Hard to Be a God with me every week for the next 10 years,
Yeah.
I would be delighted.
Whilst you're eating some kind of borscht.
So, okay, we're going to get this to the vote.
I'm
Obviously,
putting
your vote is
Yes.
yes, it goes into room 101. I say, if you put Hard to Be a God in room 101, you have to throw me in there with it. Because
Now you made it
I'm
interesting.
I'm wrapped around it.
So I'm
So
a yes. He's
you
a
get a
no.
Kathleen vote.
I'm actually going to say no, just because I've never watched it. I love the fact that people are making films, books, art, or whatever that are niche, and you need that because sometimes, he might come out with a sequel which is better. He might have spaceships in
Okay, how about this? I accept you're saying no, but you then have to watch it with him.
That's fair. You've now got to read
it.
some
Yeah,
of
bollocks, that.
You committed to read something earlier
did,
on that
I
we
did.
said that I forgot what it was. But I'm sure we'll remember.
How long is it?
3 hours.
Oh,
So
right,
Loz
yes,
now has to watch
I'll
How to
watch
Be a
it.
Dog
Yes,
Woman.
I'll watch it. Yeah.
All right, cool. That's a good
fine.
compromise.
Yes.
That's a good compromise. Right, let's go back to the patrons. Let's see what we've got. Now, I'm going to go with Clarky. We're going to go for a quick fire round. So Clarky, he didn't send a lot in terms of justification, right?
Yeah.
He just said,
Okay.
Legend by Ridley Scott. Barely managed to start it, never mind finish it. Wants it in room 101.
A good film that I remember. It's a long time.
I
since
personally
I've
can't put it in
watched
room 101 because Tim Curry is fucking amazing as the devil in it.
Tom Cruise's teeth are a bit weird.
It's pre-teeth
To be honest,
correction.
he's got like a mono tooth,
Yeah.
which is a bit freaky.
Yeah.
I didn't like it,
No.
but I do like Ridley Scott, so it's a no from me.
Okay.
No from me.
Okay. Sorry, Clarky. Legend does not go in room 101. Quick fire round. Hawk the Slayer. It's rubbish, he says.
It is rubbish.
It is rubbish.
But it's of a 80s oeuvre of fantasy films
Yeah.
and it's got the weird weapon thing and a shit elf.
It's got a really shit elf. It's got Bernard Bresslaw in it as a giant.
Yeah, so that's a no for
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
What do you think, Phil? Phil's just shrugging. She doesn't know.
Maybe you need to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll watch that.
Okay. I've got it on Blu-ray. We can watch it, and then you can make that
It's
decision.
not 3 hours.
I personally can't put it in because Jack Palance is the villain, and he is fucking chewing the shit out of every
And he's
piece
got
of
an
scenery.
amazing helmet.
Incredible
Oh,
helmet.
I think we might have seen it.
And he's got a lot. You have
Oh,
seen
yeah,
it.
I
You
like
just
that
probably forgot
film.
about
Hawk, the main guy looks like the guy at the Bee Gees as
it. Oh,
well.
Hawk the Slayer, the character, could go in room 101 because if he wasn't in that film, you would barely notice.
Yeah, but he does look like one of the Bee Gees,
He
so,
does.
so I'm
He
a
does.
big fan.
And then the other reason, I'm sorry, Clark, I can't put it in, is because there's a line in it where it says, where the villain says, "I bring you a gift, the gift of death." So no, it can't go in. And
I'm with you on that.
yeah, the final one, Star Trek: The Slow Motion Picture. The characters are boring. It's special effects promo reel with none of the human drama that makes Trek work.
That's a yes for me. I hate it.
Ooh, so yes from you.
That's a no. I loved all the original Star
There's the
Star
film?
Treks. Yeah.
It's a no from me as well because I fucking love Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Oh, mate, it's the most boring crap I've watched for years.
Yeah, no, I love it.
You haven't watched The Hand of God yet.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it.
I love
Maybe
it.
follow it up with that.
Yeah, I love it. It's got
Sallow,
It's
irreversible,
got
and
some
human
of the
centipede.
most homoerotic Kirk and Spock action that
It
ever
is.
has been committed to celluloid.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spock, I need you.
Jesus Christ.
I need you. Yeah.
How long have I known?
And it's also got the amazing bit where when Bones beams up to the Enterprise, he's got his massive beard, his hairy chest,
and his Bee Gees medallion.
Oh, yes, it
Fantastic.
does.
Yeah, which is amazing. Worth it just for that. So, sorry, Clarky.
Sorry.
None of your picks have gone in room 101.
No, you picked badly.
I'm so sorry about that. Okay, so, Loz, have you got one left?
I have.
I've got one left too. But we have got quite a few.
I do the Patreon ones.
Let's do some more Patreon ones. Mike Watson, Star Trek Discovery, says, perhaps the producers weren't confident enough to create an original series that they felt they had to shoehorn in some legacy characters. That's what we're apparently calling them now. Why did Michael Burnham have to be Spock's adopted sister? This goes back to what I was saying earlier on. Make it interesting by having them be a relative of an established character. Couldn't she have been a character in her own right that seemed to have a reverence for what has gone before with previous series? Just to give a couple of examples of this completely unnecessary retelling of The Cage, and the Guardian of Forever is now a man in a bowler hat. Now, I know, Loz, you're not exactly a Trek fan. You've probably never even watched Star Trek Discovery.
No.
Oh, I have to say, everything is about her.
Which one is Star Trek Discovery? Was that the Netflix one?
It was on Netflix. Now it's just on Paramount Plus. They end up with about 5 series of it. Lots and lots of people knock it because it's got gay characters and trans characters. It's got a very, very diverse cast. I don't think we stopped watching it, didn't we?
Because of her. It was all about her.
Yeah,
It just got
because
ridiculous.
Star Trek's best when it's an ensemble cast, but she was always like the most important character, and everything revolved around the Michael Burnham, Spock's character sister. Spock's sister character.
Where did that come from?
I don't
What's the
know.
bother?
It was
That
entirely
covers so
unnecessary,
many
wasn't it?
things we've already put in 101.
Yeah, I mean, Star Trek for me, the only one I kind of had any, apart from the original ones, was DS9, I think. So
Yeah.
I watched yours a lot.
Oh, we watched a lot of DS.
Yeah, I liked it. It was good.
Yeah. When it took a while to get its feet, and it tailed off towards the end. But when it had its sweet spot of about 3 seasons, it was great.
It had some good stuff. I watched some Next Generation stuff with the Borg and stuff.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I liked some of
Yeah.
And I think one of the best things was Jason Isaac, personally.
Yeah, it did. It had its moments.
It had
didn't
its moments.
It had its moments. Jason Isaac was really good in that first season. Me personally, it wasn't for me. It wasn't the kind of Star Trek that I enjoyed. We never got through it. I think we stopped watching it about midway through the 3rd season because every season had a season-long arc which was about saving the universe, which was
Which only she could do.
It was just too much. But what span off from that was Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, which was the prequel series about Captain Pike.
in it?
Yeah.
Didn't watch that either.
And that is episodic. That's like more... Okay, it's still more heightened than original Trek was. I say more heightened, fucking hell, when you think episodes like Spock's Brain, it was pretty heightened anyway. But you've got your diverse cast, you've got all this, but it's more localised, it's smaller scale, it's not all about saving the universe every week. And it's fun.
Well, that could be a trope in itself, though, isn't it? The
Yeah.
Save the Universe every week trope
Yeah.
is like... And it's kind of long arcs as well with shows.
Yeah.
I mean, when we talked about Lost before, you've got like 7 series of a programme.
Yeah.
And they always have to have this like shitty arc. X-Files was another one. The best X-Files episodes were always like the condensed ones, maybe even a 2-parter, but that was
Self-contained stories.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the original Star Trek when they went on shore leave and something happened.
Yeah. They were at a beach.
Yeah. None of this. You
Kirk
have to say
breathe in or what?
Yeah.
So what do we think, Star Trek Discovery? I don't think I could put Discovery in 101. It wasn't for me, but I think there's enough good that came out of it. I think there's enough good things in it that I wouldn't want to...
I've never watched
have
it,
its
so
fair
it
seat by rats.
would be difficult to kind of
do you
dismiss
feel?
it.
Kind of a little bit on the edge, just because I really wanted to love it, and it did all become about her and being Spock's half sister.
Can you have it like balanced on the kind of the whole?
We can have it teetering on the brink.
Yeah.
But you're right.
There's someone who nudges the table
Spinning.
by
There
accident.
was some good within it, but a lot of it, I'd say, take it away and rewrite it, please.
Yeah. All right. Okay. We'll park that one. Okay. Another quick one. Mike Watson, The Hobbit movies.
Martin Freeman mugging his way through the movies, least of the issues they have with them. Celeste Patterson as the Goblin King can't save this bloated, self-indulgent mess, which also features some poor effects. That's just the first movie. I only seen these movies once at the cinema. The only other things I can remember are unnecessary love story, moon-faced Orlando Bloom being wheeled into one of the subsequent movies. Would love to have seen Guillermo del Toro's version of this story when it was just 2 movies, with Ron Perlman as Bjorn. Well, I can't argue with that. Yes, yeah. Ron Perlman should have been in the Hobbit movies in some way, shape, or form. Should the Hobbit
Bilbo.
Yeah, fuck it, let's go for it. Yeah, Ron Perlman, seal of quality. If you can't get Ron Perlman or Brian Cox in your movie, why are you even making a movie? You know.
I didn't like the Hobbit films. I think you could make one good film out of the 3.
Yeah.
I think there was loads of shit that was wrong with it.
Yeah.
I didn't mind Thingy as Bilbo. I think he was alright.
He was just Martin Freeman.
Yeah, he was Martin Freeman, every man. But he's alright. And the bit with Gollum's brilliant. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, Riddles in the Dark.
Yeah, that was really good. I think... But there's just loads of bloated dross, wasn't there? Where you just like... I mean, the elf dwarf... I mean, for a fact the dwarf didn't have a beard, I'm out on that one.
Yeah.
And the fact that the elf fancied him... I'm
terrible.
Not having that.
Yeah.
And she could have been, like, an interesting character. She's, you know...
Yeah.
But Legolas, yeah, he did look a bit podge. This is, you know... It's coming from me. And there was all the best bits of the film were the bits from the book. So all the stuff they added didn't add anything. So I think I didn't mind Benedict Cumberbatch as the dragon. I thought he was all right.
Yeah,
the dragon bits were good.
Yeah.
But all the stuff they added were just shit. I didn't mind even the Goblin Kingdom that, you know, they all got kidnapped and stuff. It was all right, but it just looked like Mariah, didn't it?
I thought it was the worst. I thought it was absolutely fucking terrible. It looked like a computer game.
Yeah, it did.
The barrel race down the river was fucking awful. That was the same.
But they made the elves parkour elves again.
Awful.
Yeah, and that was terrible.
Mm.
Didn't like that.
And one of the elves you don't like anyway as an actor.
Which one?
All of them.
Yeah.
All
fuck them. All of them.
Yeah.
One thing I would say is that someone out there, one of these online nerds, has done a complete recut of all 3 films to remove everything that doesn't happen in The Hobbit, the book.
Yeah.
And they've condensed it all to like a 3.5 hour movie that only covers the beats from the novel. I've got it.
Is it good?
Yeah.
It's actually fine.
Yeah.
You still can't fix the fact that some of the dwarves don't look like dwarves.
Yeah, and
You know, you can't. Those are the things you can't fix. But it gets rid of all of the elf love story. It gets rid of anything extraneous that wasn't in The Hobbit. Is not in it, so it cuts out about 5 hours.
well, Stephen Fry was probably about an hour, wasn't he?
Yeah.
No need for him.
Gets rid of all that stuff. That annoying Alfred character, you spot him a couple of times.
Yeah, he was rubbish.
But it's just about all of his stuff is cut out. And that actually ends up being a fairly decent telling of The Hobbit. But even though that exists, I would be tempted to agree that the Hobbit movies should go in Room 101 just to let somebody else do a better job of it.
I mean, the problem is you've got Guillermo del Toro, who's amazing, and his version of The Hobbit would have been amazing.
Would it though? Because all of the character designs from the dwarves all come from Guillermo del Toro's version.
The problem with The Hobbit as a book and obviously as a film is there's too many dwarves to give a shit about or to even remember who they are, because they're all fucking boring, aren't they? They don't do anything.
Yeah.
They generally get captured. The equivalent of the old female character who got captured and then get saved.
Yeah.
They shout a lot, drink beer, and make a mess, and that's it. There's too many of them, and you probably could have culled 6 of them and had 6 half decent dwarfs.
Yeah, that's necessarily a problem. It's like you know, it's like, I don't know, watching the wild geese or something.
there's loads of these mercenaries. It's not important to know the art. It's just important to know that there's all these mercenaries.
Yeah,
and
one
some
of
of
them's
them are going to
Roger
get killed.
Moore, so that's
Yeah, but I mean, Okay, so let's remake The Hobbit. Let's have Richard Burton as Balin. Let's have Roger Moore as Thorin. And let's have Richard Harris as, I don't know, one of the others.
Do you know I'd have as Bilbo? Oliver Reed. Brilliant.
Yeah, if we're fantasy casting, yeah, okay.
Fantasy 70s casting for Hobbit.
Oliver Reed.
Oliver Reed as Bilbo.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Ron Perlman as the King of the Elves. Yeah, Ron Perlman as King Thranduil. You see, we fixed it, and we need to put Peter Jackson's Hobbit movies in room 101 to make this happen.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
All right, fuck it.
I'm never
It's
going to
gone.
watch it again.
Yeah, they're gone. They're gone.
Not the long versions, no.
Okay, another quick fire one then. So Richie, aka Mantrap, listeners will know Richie from the episode with Steve Round where we talked to his gaming gang. So Richie says, the whole black goo plots in the recent Alien franchise. I feel particularly strongly that I hate everything about it. Prometheus introduced this bollocks and now it has to be shoehorned into every film. Does everyone agree it is utter bollocks?
Yeah. It's in the RPG as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which I've got, and it's kind of taken it. To be fair, I think with the Alien films, they should have stopped at 3.
Yeah.
Definitely. And because ultimately, it's like the old Jaws thing, isn't it? You've got a bad guy. The bad guy's the alien. How interesting can you make it? How interesting can we make it? Not that interesting. Let's introduce a new element.
Yeah.
The black goo thing.
It did make a lot of sense to me.
No, it completely changed it goes back to when people try and explain something from a sci-fi book or a fantasy book or anything. The explanation is shit. Mm-hmm. So don't do it.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. The whole point of Alien is we don't know where they come from. We don't give a fuck. They're really evil. And it's like everything, isn't it? It's that quest with a lot of films to try and explain why something happens. And the best sci-fi stuff and the best fantasy stuff is it doesn't explain why. It just happens, doesn't it? And I think it got down to, right, we need to make some extra films. What are we going to bring in? What new element? Where they shouldn't have bothered. I liked Romulus. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. What's the one before that?
Covenant.
Yeah, I wasn't really asked about that. It was alright.
I think Prometheus and Covenant are fine movies if you disconnect them from the Alien franchise.
Yeah, but you can't really do that with Covenant because, sorry, is that the first one?
No, Prometheus.
Sorry, Prometheus. So Prometheus is just Alien, isn't it? But with a slightly different alien. Really.
Yeah, but the idea that they needed to explain the space jockey is the point you just made. The idea that they need to explain the space jockey and say that the space jockey isn't this like vast, crazy, vastly ancient, fossilised, unknown, weirdly ancient biomechanical creature that's fused with its ship. It's an 8 foot tall bald dude.
Yeah, exactly.
In a suit.
And it's rubbish or pants.
Yeah.
It always comes down to everything needs to be explained, and it's best if it's not.
Yeah. So I think Prometheus would have been fine had it had no connection whatsoever with the Alien franchise. It'd been its own thing, and didn't include any of the iconography from the Alien franchise. I think it would have been okay.
It'd been all right, but there's no point doing it.
It'd have been an okay film.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the Black Goo as part of the Alien franchise, absolutely agree it should go in room 101.
Yeah, there's no need for it.
Yeah. All right, cool. That's that one sorted. Right, roll the dice, hippie. Or shall we just drink the Coke? The vanilla sour Coke.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's just do that one. Right, so we'll continue with Richie's. Richie says mine are from a grumpy Gwent boy. Okay, Richie. Next up, Disney Star Wars spin-offs. Pretty much all of them. More harm than good since it took over. Got to the stage where so much is being churned out. Some shows are cancelled due to poor viewership and quality that's diluted the original mystique that Star Wars had created. George Lucas added almost cartoon-like comedy creatures into the original trilogy, re-edited versions. I know he wanted to make it kid-friendly, so we can't blame everything on Disney. So, I mean, you could naturally expand that to say everything outside of the original trilogy, and for me, half of Return of the Jedi.
I disagree. I think Andor was great.
Well, yes. Andor is great.
And
Han
also...
Solo.
Solo's great.
Yeah.
Not so much.
I fucking love Solo.
It was good.
Andor was great. I think... I think we venerate Star Wars too much as amazing films. And for me, when I was a kid, they were amazing. I was 7 when I saw Star Wars, etc., etc., and they were good. Return of the Jedi was probably the weakest one because it had Ewoks in it. It was rubbish. But
that was the start of it all, wasn't it?
Yeah, but also, if you Rogue One, I love. I think is ace,
I do as well.
and I love Andor.
Yeah, so for that reason, what do you think, Phil?
I'm totally with Loz on that.
Yeah, for that reason, Richie, we can't put it all in room 101 because
Bits of it, definitely.
Yeah.
but
Oh
not
yeah,
all.
yeah.
Bits
You
of it
could,
certainly.
you could definitely hoof lots of shit in there, but
Yeah.
not because of those two.
Yeah, but Andor rules. Rogue One has definitely got good stuff in it.
I love Rogue One. I think it's great.
I think I think Rogue One has got shit bits in it, but it's got a lot of good stuff in it. For me, Solo is the best of the Disney Star Wars movies. I fucking love Solo.
Yeah.
It's just not wall to wall laughs. So yeah, sorry Richie, but Richie's third one might be uncontroversial. Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah. Boom,
Yeah.
gone. Jar Jar
Yeah.
Binks. Fuck Jar Jar Binks.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's no,
What were you thinking?
Yeah, and God bless the actor. I know he had his moment in one of the recent Star Wars shows where he got to play a Jedi Master at the Academy, and he had his moment, and bless him for that because he got a really fucking terrible time as an actor because of toxic fandom and everything else.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, which is a real shame. Ahmed Best, yeah, but you know what? It's not his fault. Jar Jar Binks was terrible, and toxic fans are fucking terrible. And funnily enough,
Yes, that should be
Steve Round picked toxic fandom.
excellent.
So Steve Round, I've been a nerd since it was very unfashionable. There weren't enough fans out there to have different types, and if there were, the twats would be outnumbered. Now we see actors getting personally attacked for the roles they play. I think, is that controversial?
No, I totally
Absolutely
agree with
not.
him.
Toxic fans should fuck right off and grow up and get fucked.
Well, it's disgusting though, isn't it? I mean, it gets to a point where, even from a computer gaming side of things, Naughty Dog released the recent kind of trailer for their game, and all their stuff, in my opinion, is brilliant. And because it's got a shaved-headed woman as the main character, loads of people just like bounce on that. There's the other one, like Ghost of Tsushima, like samurai game, PS5's amazing. The sequel's got a woman protagonist, and I was like, woke. It just pisses me off that everybody just puts the word woke into everything, and it's just
Anybody who says woke needs to go in room 101.
no, it's just anybody who uses woke as an insult.
Yeah.
Which
Yes,
is
anybody who
lot.
uses woke as a pejorative.
Yeah.
Fuck off, have your face eaten by rats.
And it's awful that the writers bow down to these requests when they're actually attacking actors. It's just
We saw it, didn't we? Rose Tico character gets a load of shit in Last Jedi. They
that was
completely
disgusting.
fucking push it to the side in Rise of Skywalker. Absolute garbage.
Yeah,
Absolute
it's
garbage.
a disgrace. These people should get a life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right, Loz is going to the toilet, so Loz doesn't get a vote on this one, so it's just me and you, Phil.
I'll shout it.
Okay, right, Snyder DC films, Loz.
You up?
Snyder DC films.
Man, that's a tricky one.
Okay, well, we'll save that till you
Yeah.
get back then. All right, so Sarah said Rebel Moon.
Oh. We had that discussion the other day.
We
So we watched it at Christmas,
Yeah.
and then we watched the follow-up, and we're like, ugh. And then we watched the extended versions and went, ugh.
We watched the extended versions purely out of like morbid curiosity, didn't we? And they were fucking garbage. They were just even more garbage.
And then Sarah was absolutely upset that she feels she has to watch them, waiting for the third one, which you kindly said isn't coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the slow motion wheat.
Oh, so much slow motion wheat.
So much slow motion.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, the Rebel Moon films can go in
they
room
can
101.
go.
Here's an interesting one for you, Phil. So, Sarah also said, unsuitable armour for ladies, i.e. chainmail bikinis.
It's a fair point. It's an absolute fair point.
Yeah. And she also said, cute kids in anything, particularly the sassy with it ones.
Yeah.
She would just say, you know, Loz, you snooze, you lose. Let's put them all in room 101.
Yeah.
So let's go. All right, you snooze, you lose, Loz.
Yeah.
Rebel Moon, unsuitable armour for ladies. Whoa, hang on a minute.
Oh, what?
Unsuitable armour for ladies, i.e. chainmail bikinis. I don't know. The man in me.
And that's what it's aimed at, isn't it? It's not aimed at
Maybe.
having the best attire.
Yeah, maybe we need Loz as the casting vote.
Oh, you're both men.
Yeah. Okay, Loz, we need a casting vote here.
What's this?
So, Sarah said, unsuitable armour for ladies, i.e. chainmail bikinis.
Yes.
So, Phil says, yes, they should go in room 101. Whilst I think I understand the perception and the perspective, I don't know, there's still a part of me that... Can I condemn it to room 101 when there's so much great art of Red Sonja in a chainmail bikini? That's the man in me talking, obviously. Don't think about it. Gut reaction.
Yeah, I think we need to get rid of it.
Oh. Okay, fine. Outvoted.
And rightly so.
Right, I think we need a quick... have you done your third one yet?
No.
Okay, Loz, what's your third one?
Extended torture scenes.
Ooh.
I'm done with it. It's not specifically just sci-fi fantasy. It also bleeds into gangster films, gangs of London, everything. It just, I mean, we could use Game of Thrones as an example.
Yeah.
I'm not squeamish. I can watch, various things. I don't particularly enjoy excessive violence at all, but I just think it's so boring and unnecessary to just have it extended to such points where you're just watching somebody being hurt.
Yeah.
And you know why, and yeah, it can be used for kind of plot, etc. But it's just when it's excessive. It's like, do you really need to, it's almost you waiting for it to happen. So a character will get kidnapped or will get captured.
Yeah.
And you know they're going to have an extended torture scene.
Yeah.
And
sorry, Phil's just waved at me and said, can you pass me the wine that I've put on the radiator so it's not so cold? It is now actually warm wine.
excellent.
Pass the Ducci.
It really is warm, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be quite delicious, actually. No, I think I'm inclined to agree. There was a time when stuff like that was very much in the ballpark of exploitation cinema and stuff like that. But because of the days of streaming and the lack of certification and all these different things, and it's just everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, it just seems to be a really lazy
Excessive
thing.
violence.
I mean, I so recently I've been watching Gangs of London, and I've enjoyed it. It's stylized.
Yeah, we stopped. We didn't get through it.
But some of the violence in that, the Ramsay Bolton piece, did I need to? And I've probably same with the book. Do I need to see or read how much he gets tortured to get the ultimate point that he's being tortured?
Yeah.
It's kind of pulling the camera away sometimes, isn't it? Some people like watching that. Yeah. I don't personally, and I think it just gets to a point of like, what are you getting out of it? I don't understand it.
It's sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I can't remember what year, but there seemed to be like the Saw movies, the Hostel movies. And
Yeah.
And it's from
and
there.
I get that that's kind of, that was what had the torture porn phrase, wasn't it? Because of that.
Yeah.
But and now it's just bled into normal stories. So it's like a spy program has to have a torture scene in it, and it's like, right, we get the villain's nasty.
Yeah.
Let's kind of move on. Let's just pull away or whatever. I don't know. I just think, who's the audience for it?
Yeah.
But you could argue the ultimate torture porn film, the William Gibson Christ piece. That's just like 2 hours of it.
Yeah.
It's like, mate.
Mel Gibson.
Yeah, Mel Gibson. Who did I say?
William Gibson.
Yeah, sorry, Mel Gibson. And it just, I don't know. I just think it's kind of lazy in a way.
It is lazy. It's lazy shorthand for these people are evil. Look how evil they are.
Yeah.
And whilst on one level, it's like, funnily enough, the Hostel movies are, because Eli, I have a soft spot for Eli Roth because his violence, he always has his tongue in his cheek with his violence. And with Hostel, he did try and kind of push the envelope. But what he was doing was like, right, I'm going to do a film for Hollywood that's going to get mainstream cinema release, and I'm going to try my absolute best to do a grindhouse shocker that would have appeared in the 1970s 42nd Street cinema. And he got away with it and made it tongue-in-cheek and a little bit daft and a little bit funny, so I get that. But the Saw films and a lot of the other stuff that's come since and a lot of the stuff that was in Game of Thrones was cynical and just deeply unpleasant for really no reason other than to shock the audience.
Yeah.
What they should do is, like Mission Impossible, get a Tom Cruise who escapes before he gets tortured. That works for me.
Or just do it like Han Solo getting tortured in Empire Strikes Back. There's a couple of sparks, he goes, yeah.
Well, I mean,
and he acts. The actor acts that it is painful and terrifying, and then it cuts to a pair of boots walking off down a corridor. And you watch that and you think, you watch that and you're fucking traumatised by it because your hero is being tortured.
Yeah.
There's no blood. It's acting and good direction.
Yes.
But Casino Royale, for example, the
knotted rope to the nuts.
Yeah, that's not great.
No.
But it's in the book.
Yeah.
And that was his method of torture, and it didn't. Yeah, you didn't see like bloody nuts. You didn't see. It was pretty grim.
Yeah.
But you got the idea, and it pulled away after a certain point. And I just think it's just that thing of like, well, why?
It's that shock value.
Yeah, and I get shock value, and I get it, but from a narrative,
something.
yeah, from a narrative. But I think the bit you were talking about, the Tom Cruise thing, right? Because it set it up, and they did a similar thing with a Bond film. Basically, the torturer, they set him up, they give him a name, and then he set out all these tools on a table, and you were like, holy shit, this is going to be hideous. You knew he'd get away, but you were like, he's obviously an evil man.
Yes.
And they had a similar thing with I think it was World Is Not Enough Bond film with Brosnan in. They had a torturer who was his expertise, and he had a similar thing rolled out certain things. You go, right, okay, we get his evil.
Here are my tools.
Yeah, exactly. And like, ooh, that'd be horrible. And you think about it for a bit, and then you move on. So basically extended stuff like that. The Game of Thrones one for me, the Theon Greyjoy stuff, it got to a point where I was just like, for fuck's sake, can we just move on? I get it. Ramsay Bolton is a really horrible man.
Yeah.
And we get by his actions a horrible man, but do we need to watch it episode after episode for about 4 episodes about him being tortured? And that was fun.
You know what? If it means that they're doing this stuff, they're being lazy, and it's substituting good writing, good acting, and good direction to actually sell that to the audience, then absolutely I agree that should go in Room 101. Let's have more blending of good acting, good writing, good direction.
Yeah.
Like that scene, that Irving Kershner directed scene in The Empire Strikes Back, which is completely bloodless, but it was traumatising to a generation of kids because you thought Han Solo was genuinely in horrific pain.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But even when in the Star Wars film where they had the weird globe thing and loads of shit, and loads of stuff comes out.
And
you're
a big hypodermic needle glued to the side of it.
Yeah.
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 Okay, what do you think, Phil?
I totally agree.
Okay, it goes in room 101. Right, we've been going a long time.
I think it all comes down to laziness.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I appreciate that special effects artists and makeup effects artists are getting some work out of it, but even then, a lot of it is lazy and doesn't even really give them any good work.
Laziness and the shock value,
Yeah.
which, like you say, people don't want it.
Yeah.
Well, some people obviously do, but I don't get who the audience is, really. So what we're thinking about the Tiny Rebel?
It's all right.
Vortex vanilla cola.
It's all right. It's got a strange aftertaste, though.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah.
Is that cola?
Yeah.
No, there's something else going in there.
I think it's the vanilla.
That doesn't quite work for me. I expected to enjoy this more than I did. This Tiny Rebel vanilla cola sour beer. So yeah, mildly disappointing, that one. But you've done your third, haven't you?
Yes.
You've done your third, Loz.
Yep.
Now, my third, in a way, ties in with what Andy Darby said, because Andy Darby said, fucking dareness. Right? Now, I'm not sure either you have ever been exposed to reading dareness. Loz, I wanted you to do a dareness book with me, but you refused, and Tash ended up doing it with me.
Yeah.
But this also sits nicely with my third pick, which is glossaries. Glossaries in sci-fi and fantasy novels.
Yeah.
Right. So, I have here a Danis book, The Caves of Regalathium. This is Danis 3.
What was the one you sent me? Was it
The Dark Straits of Regalathium.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which was Danis 5, which
Did
ended
you
up
read
covering
it?
Atash.
I read the first book, so I remember some kind of
description of-
Kimmigs of something.
Yes. Well, there we go. Kimmigs.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna read a couple. The problem I've got with glossaries, and they're not always like this, but if you need to skip to the back of a book when you're reading it and eject yourself from the narrative to try and figure out what the fuck it's on about by going to a glossary, I think I've got a bit of a problem with it. Now you get that a bit with Dune.
That was the one I was going to mention.
Yeah, because you read, charm. It's like, what the fuck's charm?
Yeah.
Okay, Frank Herbert maybe should have just put a couple of sentences in there. The first mention of charm to describe what charm is. Because even when you look charm and you go to the glossary and it says it tells you what the acronym means, it still doesn't really give you a brilliant idea of what's going on. But here's a couple of paragraphs from Caves of Regalathium. Desk. Vassio came to dine with us at least 1 mig in 10. More if possible, though his work kept him quite busy. At times, Marana would accompany him back to the city, for both of us agreed that she should not entirely give up the work she had known all her life. She would remain at the Tarinor complex no more than 2 or 3 migs at a time, and was usually as happy to return home as I was to have her. I would then learn of the news from the city, for even 15 Vakes tend to isolate one from what is happening. In the first Achaeum, I rode to Chelaquin only once to Bath for some new equipment, though I did take the opportunity to call on Vassio. Here's another one. Think of it, Danis, he said to me one evening at our table, where he had joined us for dinner. Some MiG Diclon will be adapted for use on land. Visualise fine paved roads crisscrossing the continent. Roads like the one that led to the gates of Aratat. Not these rutted stairways. Not a stairway. STERRRWAYS.
Obviously, yeah.
That's a fucking author fail, isn't it? That now exist. Now think of land vessels traversing those roads at 40, even 50 Vagues each Kimmig. A journey, so far Pectan, once endless, would take but a few MiGs.
Yeah, I wouldn't read that.
Well,
Due to the fact that it can fuck right off.
There's that, but also I didn't get into any of that. It just went over my head.
Yeah.
Because I had no idea what you were on about.
Well, we are now going to do a quick quiz. This is the Phil versus Laws Danis glossary quiz. We'll do as many rounds as I can be asked to do, and I'm going to ask each of you a question. I'm going to read out an entry from the glossary, and I just want you to tell me what rough ballpark thing it might be referring to.
Okay.
So we'll start with you, Phil.
Go on,
So one of these has already been mentioned. What do you think an Achaeum is?
Oh, you already mentioned that one once. I'm not sure.
An Achaeum or Achaeum is 1/4 of an iam. About 3 1/2 months. So an achium is a period of time.
Okay. of course
Nil
it is.
point.
Okay.
The author's a
Nil
wanker.
point. Loz,
Yeah.
what is a bivake?
A bivake. Oh, is it 17 Kimmigs?
You need to be more specific. What? So roughly, if an achium was a measurement of time,
Oh, right, yeah.
what is a bivake?
Is it a measurement of distance?
It is.
Is it?
1 point. It is a
I think
linear
you
measure,
helped him there.
13 feet. So Loz
Why?
takes the Loz takes the lead.
Why would you do that?
Phil, what is a dend?
I don't know, a piece of furniture?
Oh, it's a good guess. But no, dend is a vadtrog kev.
Oh,
I'm just reading from the glossary. This isn't my fault.
yeah, but that doesn't tell me what it is.
Okay, so
What is a...
okay, as a follow-up,
Tell me
what is a kev?
Don't we want to know what a vadtrog?
A vadtrog kev. So I'm giving you a second chance. So if whatever the fuck that was is a kev, what do you think a kev is? A kev.
A form of vehicle.
No, a kev is the name for a ruler. Not a ruler the way you measure distance, but a ruler like a ruler of things. So yes, they call their rulers kevs.
Amazing.
No offence to anyone called Kev or Kevin, but yes, a kev. Okay, Loz, what is a creel?
Probably a six-legged horse.
No, it's a fib. PHIB. Okay, so follow-up question.
What's a
Because
fib?
that was so ridiculously, stupidly difficult, what do you think a PHIB fib is? You're 1 point in the lead, Loz. It's 1-0. It's fucking tense. This quiz is tense.
Fib. A heart.
No, it's an inhabitant of the glowing lake.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was my second guess.
Yeah. Phil, what is... Oh, let's have a look. Let's find a really, really good one, stroke easy one for Phil. Oh, what can we find? What is a winth? What do you think a winth is?
Is it like a wife?
No, it's a large chicken.
Of course it is.
It's a large chicken.
Why can't they just call it a chicken?
Okay. So one more round. Loz, you 1-0. Oh no, Loz, this is your follow-up question. Loz, what is a vake?
A vake, a sharp sword in the shape of a house.
No, no, it's a linear measure. It's 2.2.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
How many miggins is it?
So I think because this is so desperately ridiculous and stupid, we'll just have one more round. Let's have a look. Let's find a really, really good one, or perhaps an easy. Okay, Phil, what is an ion?
Iron. Is it a unit of... I don't know.
It is a unit of something.
Yeah, we'll go with time.
It is a unit of time. It's a reglathium year, which is approximately 14 months.
Why?
Well done.
Why is
Well
it
done.
14 months?
It's 1-1.
Oh,
Loz.
mate, I can barely wait. Go on.
It's 1-1. You can win it here.
I know.
You can win it.
Come on.
The game is on the line.
Come on.
What is Ovros?
Reglathium syphilis.
No. I'm sorry. You're wrong. It's a draw. It's a Hig Kev.
Oh, well, Kev's the ruler.
Yeah.
Oh, for
What's a
fucking
hig?
hell.
Sorry.
I think everybody would be voting to put that in 101.
Yeah. So it's 1-1. We'll probably need a tiebreaker, don't we?
Do we?
No,
Do
we're quite happy with a
No,
draw.
we're all right.
No, I think we need a tiebreaker.
Oh, no, we don't.
I think we need. Yeah, I think we all agree we need a tiebreaker.
No, we don't.
When it comes
Yeah,
to
I think we
definition, isn't a glossary supposed to tell you what something is? Whereas with that one, you then have to go on and look
That's
at
right.
three more
There are
things.
several layers of glossary. with this
Yeah,
one.
Yeah, that one.
appendices,
Yeah.
3
Yeah. Okay.
Kimmigs to, yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
Right.
whatever.
Right. Okay. So tiebreaker question,
Yeah.
and the answer to this one has already been an answer.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dend.
Well, that's something to
Unit of length.
something to do with rulers.
You win, Loz. A dend is indeed a Vatrog, Kev.
Of course it is. Well done.
Oh, well done,
I
Loz.
can't believe you won that.
mate, yeah.
So, Loz wins.
Yeah, I don't
You
want the
actually
book
paid
though, do I?
attention.
Well, you can have it.
No, I don't want
You
it.
can have it if you
I don't
want.
want it.
That's
So what-
your winning prize.
So what do we think? Do Dareness and glossaries go in room 101?
But I think it's a more of a fundamental argument of why the fuck would you create different words for what does it enhance the book to have several glands to Kimmig whatever why have a 14-month year?
Yeah.
What does that add to the story?
I think what makes it all the more baffling, right, is you've got a MiG is a Reglathium day,
Yeah.
which is about 27 hours. Right?
Why?
So
Yeah,
so
whatever.
there's an instant lack of logic there. But a Kimmig is about 2 hours. So a MiG doesn't even sensibly subdivide into Kimmigs.
Yeah, exactly.
It
Because
won't work.
a Kimmig is 13 and a half. Sorry, a MiG is 13 and a half Kimmigs.
Yeah, and then you've got like the 27th Kimmig or whatever it is. It's like, what happens there?
Yeah, you can't have an odd number.
It's cock and balls, isn't
It makes no sense.
It's balls.
I'm putting it in 101.
Yeah, I mean the Dune one's quite annoying, but
Yeah.
but you kind of need it to know what the Landsrad is. What? Well, do you need a glossary, or should you?
Well, you shouldn't, should you?
No.
The narrative should give you everything you need.
Yeah. You can lob a few words in there, but ultimately, don't create your own kind of definition of time
Yeah.
or distance or days, because basically by the time you read it, it's balls, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
And
this
that-
is it. You read a story to get engrossed and lost in it.
yeah,
Not to go, oh, what the fuck does this mean? Oh, what does this mean? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
there's
then
more
you've
here.
lost.
A Vake is 2.2 miles, but a Tavake is 390 feet. None of these things sensibly connect to the others.
no. And I think he should have just concentrated on writing a decent story.
Yeah.
That would have helped.
And stop farting around with his Kimmigs and
Yeah.
I think you should put all his books in there with it.
Well, unfortunately, I can't do that because, one thing that we have had from Danish novels is a lot of laughs and a lot of things to talk about. But glossaries can fuck off
yeah.
to room 101.
Yep.
Now, I don't know about you cats, but I'm quite hungry. We've been going almost 2 hours. We haven't got through everybody's picks. Maybe, I tell you what, let's just rattle through a couple more.
Okay.
So, Alistair Davison, spaceships that never enter atmosphere are aerodynamic. Why? I think that's a question that we can't answer. I don't think it's something we can put in. I don't think we can put aerodynamic spaceships in room 101.
No.
Sorry, Alistair. But magic stroke powers without consequences. The sorcerer casts all these spells and they're not even tired, or have to pay only a tiny price for their abilities. I don't know. Maybe
That
they take
comes
loads of
down
speed.
to that comes down to how the magic system's built, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
You need more details for that.
I'm sorry, Alistair. I'm not sure we could put that one in room 101 either, because we'll probably need to discuss that for ages, and we're getting drunk and probably don't have time to do so. Steve Round, plot armour. Nobody should be immortal for the sake of the story. I've run games where characters I've written into the plot have died. You just have to adapt. That's a very gaming-specific one.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
Well, what is he saying? Plot armor, as in what?
I don't know. I'm too drunk to figure it out. Style over substance. Snyder DC films, most Villeneuve films, and many more. Looks awfully pretty, but it's so boring. I wanted to like them all as on paper. I should love them, but they bore me and make me sad.
Well, you're saying pretty, but Batman Superman was so dark and dull and boring.
Yeah.
No, it had some good bits.
Did it?
Yeah, the Batman fight in the warehouse is amazing.
Oh, God. Let's just say we're not going to agree on this one. I can't put Villeneuve films in there because I like Villeneuve films. I do accept that they're a little bit soulless, but you know, I kind of like them. So sorry, dude, we can't put those in room 101 either. Sarah, another one, Steve's Gaming Gang. My one, despite having watched a lot of culprits and thoroughly enjoyed them, is solving the plot via time travel. Get in the bin. It overcomplicates things, and I don't want to have to take notes to understand the finale, especially true for franchises with multiple series, because I'll definitely forget what happened between seasons. Don't get me wrong, there are exceptions, but it's so hard to pull off, and a lot of the time it's a bandage over an unsolvable plot hole. That pretty much describes a lot of Star Trek plots.
And Doctor Who.
Well, if it was Doctor Who, I'd say yes, get it in the bin, because it's especially a problem with modern Doctor Who, timey-wimey bullshit. Write proper plots.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I vote that should go in the bin.
Which bit?
What she just said.
Time travelled for...
Lazy solutions to plots.
Yeah.
Solving a time travel.
Yeah.
Yep, Sarah, that's gone in the bin. Jamie, also from Steve's Gang. I don't like telling instead of showing. Let the audience work out what's going on, not start with a voiceover or too much text at the start. I couldn't watch the new Dune series as the first episode talked to me for 10 minutes. Fuck you, stop being lazy in everything, not just sci-fi, I guess.
I agree.
I agree too.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck off. Especially Dune Prophecy. Phil, what do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Show not tell, big thing.
Yeah, Glenn Sawyer says, gilding the literary lily. As in, I buy a book or watch a movie or series, and the end of the story is fine, satisfactory, wrapped up well, but then evidently someone reckons there's profit in an expanded series or sequel that's really not needed, and before you know it, you've a bloated monster that rambles on and loses its original charm.
Totally. Totally with that.
And you see it even worse, magnified on TV.
Yeah.
Like The Hobbit, and to just go, eek!
Yeah, and Dune Prophecy. Get in the bin.
Yeah.
It's just trying to create universes where
When
they
you
don't need it.
There's nothing better than something being wrapped up in one book.
Okay. Two more and we're done. One is from Ian Stead, aka Biomass Art, who said Alien Colony War. Now, of course, we covered that on one of our podcasts. It's shit. It's a novel set in the Alien universe, which does a really, really lazy job of trying to do a Brexit analogy. It's fucking terrible. Listen to the episode, yes, it's in the bin. And the final one, Gabriel Laycock. We have to wade through several pages describing the cosmic war between Noblo and Bobolo, during which the egg of Throbolo was broken before we get to a decent sword fight.
Yeah. Is that just like a prologue thing, or is that just like general...
I don't know, I'm just reading out what it said.
Basil exposition?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crap anyway.
Yeah, it's rubbish.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, let's just say yes.
Okay.
In the bin. Throbolo is a wanker, he can go in the bin.
Okay.
All right, that's lovely. So, and Glenn Sawyer finished off saying, does that make sense? I do, I just sound like an angry middle-aged Lancastrian shouting at the sky. That's fine, Glenn. We sound like angry Yorkshire people shouting at the sky. It doesn't matter.
It's good
We
fun.
like it.
Yeah.
And he says, have a fab meet-up and thank you all for all you do. It's hugely appreciated. And it was a genuine joy to meet both yourself and Phil this last year.
Aww.
Because we met Glenn at Clarky's birthday gaming today, didn't we?
We did, and it was lovely to meet you, and thank you for saving me in the game.
Yes, it's true. Well, that's it. That was our lazily constructed episode 101, room 101 conversation. We've managed to get through 5 of our wandering beer table beers. We've got 5 left. But I'll say thank you, Phil, for partaking in our stupid, lazy
I've enjoyed
construct.
it.
And thank you, Loz, for coming along. It's the first time we've seen you for ages. And not only partaking in our construct, but actually prioritising that over actually just, catching up and eating food.
All good.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Well, who has returned to Derry and Tom's 3 years and 8 or 9 months since her last appearance? Well, it's Tash. Welcome back, Tash.
good to be here, Andrew. It's like we've never been away.
Yeah, and of course, the last time we spoke, well, not the last time we spoke, obviously, because I was at your wedding, but the last time we recorded a podcast, it was #fucking And we were just saying before we even started this conversation, because we had a previous conversation on Riverside, but it didn't work. But we were saying one Danish book is probably enough for any podcast. And here we are in episode 101, not feeling any particular urge just yet to do another Danish novel.
It is Christmas.
Well, that's true. But I do still feel like you took one for the team when you took Danish. and
Yeah.
you know, you also made the point it was in some ways like the time that we went for the ridiculous 24-ounce or whatever the fuck it was mixed grill.
26, I remember
26-ounce mixed grill, which I think both fucking Danish and that mixed grill are still firmly lodged in our colons. So there is time yet for us to perhaps pass that through our digestive tracts and maybe have another go at some point in the future. But, you know, no promises. No promises. So you've been having a drink already this evening. So share with me and the listeners what tipple you're on, and then I'll show you my horrific news.
Well, I was having a trying to stay sober while Andy gets his podcast ready at 8 o'clock at night on a Christmas evening, which is usually, wind down for bedtime.
Yeah.
So I'm on the Society's carver no less, but the Society's Reserve Brut. And funnily enough, I was just saying 2021, which was in fact last time we were talking. So it all comes back round.
It was 2021. Yeah. Well. Now, I've got something quite disturbing to share in terms of news, and that's that it's not this part isn't disturbing, but we were out on our traditional whole December bender yesterday. So we were on the lash for 9 hours, which for me these days is quite a long time. We felt fucking dreadful all morning, but I've been building myself up and thinking, right, it's Christmas. What am I going to drink when Tesh and I do our episode 101 conversation? I thought I'm going to have to drink snowballs, because they're sweet and tasty and not massively alcoholic, and I could just ease myself back into things. But I've got a bit of a problem, because as you can see, I've got my bottle of Warnings here, my bottle of Warnings Advocaat, and see what happens when I try and pour it.
Oh, it's fully custard.
It's set.
How long have you had that one?
I don't know. So I've got two options, really. One is fall back on a backup plan. The other is use the handle of a teaspoon and see if I can clear the blockage.
Teaspoon. That's part of Christmas. It's clearing the top of your custard, isn't it?
Let's go. Ugh.
Well, the question is, Andy, are you going like just pure kids snowball, or are you adding the brandy to it, which apparently is the proper way to do it?
Yeah, well, sadly, I don't have any brandy. All I've got in the room with me right now is Bacardi Raspberry. And so I've got, okay, you can vote on this. I've got Bacardi Raspberry.
I mean, raspberry and custard, there's an argument for that.
Or I've got absinthe. Now,
definitely.
Now, I'm not saying that I deliberately chose these as potential snowball constituents. These are just what happened to be on the floor next to my chair. I hadn't really thought about, it's a shame we're not doing this live streaming live. We could put it out to the vote, couldn't we? But no, I'm not going to put fucking absinthe in my snowball. But I might put some Bacardi Raspberry in my snowball. But first of all, let's see if it actually pours now. It pours. Yeah, we're in business, ladies and gentlemen, so let's go. Oh, there we go. Third of a pint of Advocaat. Lime juice is already in there. Can of lemonade. Oh, sorry. Talk amongst yourselves, Natasha. Talk amongst yourself, Natasha, while I pour my delicious snowball. But what have you been reading this past 3.5 years?
3.5? I couldn't tell you what I've read the last 3.5 days, Andy.
Any recommendations for our listeners?
Things to...
Sorry. Just choking on snowball foam. Give that a stir.
It's a dangerous drink. It's underestimated in how dangerous that boozy custard can be. I had a bottle sort of, I think probably September to get into the season, which probably lasted 2 days.
Yeah.
Because it's just custard, isn't it? And then I bought one from M&S, and it's so offensively. Oh, it's bad custard. Bad custard. It's been consigned to the cellar.
Oh,
So
dear.
I didn't have any advocate to join you with.
Yeah.
But I do have the range of other Christmas drinks to talk about. But looking over to the bookshelf, the stuff that's on the top in the new section, I found Jasper Ford this year.
Who?
Jasper.
Yeah.
Still also the name of a kitten, so
Yeah.
I don't want to confuse him.
Yeah.
Ford.
Okay.
F-O-R-D-E. So he does like literary, fantasy, whimsical kind of books.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, I liked it.
Anybody else?
Well, in terms of new authors that I could recommend, because I'm literally looking over at his entire back catalogue, so there's probably about, if anybody's super bored for Christmas, like a dozen out there, catch up.
Yeah.
Anybody else who's done a dozen books that I hadn't discovered before now? Sorry, Andy, mate, that's your lot. I did catch up on the new Feists. I waited.
Yeah. I didn't even realise he was still writing them.
Yeah, like allegedly he'd finished the whole pug thing and like they'd finally come to some sort of final conclusion, and I won't ruin it for people. Although I'm tempted to ruin it for people. Well, I won't ruin it for people.
Ruin it for people?
No.
All right, okay.
Yeah, because like there's a lot of fucking books to get there, and if they're only like book 17, they don't want me like wading in with 2 lines that just smashes the last 5 books. Anyway, I thought he'd finished, and he brought out these new ones, the Firemane Saga, and I thought, well, he's getting on a bit. Wait, make sure he finishes them. Make sure Brandon Sanderson doesn't fucking finish them for them. So I waited till like the complete set was out, and I got them, and I actually, I read the last few of the old ones, and then the new ones, and then found that anyway, I don't want to ruin it for people, but yeah, he's brought back the old characters. I thought he was done with them. I'm like, oh no, not more Midkemia. But anyway, it was great. So I read several of those. That was good. I think Chris Brookmeyer brought out one. He's not a fantasy, but I do love him. Oh, and under the Christmas tree for me there's his name's Reza Ferrimand. Strange New World. It's like comics.
Yeah.
But he's brought a new one out. Like over the years, I've got through quite a few copies because I keep giving them to people because I'm always reading them and just giving them away in like bars and stuff.
Yeah.
And then everybody who I know has had them for Christmas. But he's brought out a new one this year, so I've got a new comic under the Christmas tree for that boozy post-dinner, uplifting, good vibes kind of readage.
Yeah, that sounds good. Phil and I have decided to adopt a ritual that our friends Ian and Ange do every year, which I think is a Scandinavian thing, which is open a present on Christmas Eve and gift each other a book. I mean, we often give each other books anyway, but we've decided to formalise that this year, and we're going to give each other a book on Christmas Eve. And I'm really, really looking forward to just kicking back half cut over the festive period and having a fucking good read. Because one of the things about doing a podcast like this is you read a lot of books for the podcast, and then you realise that reading's becoming a bit homeworky. So because we've got a nice gap between homework, in inverted commas, it's going to be really nice just to read something, just that you fancy reading. And at the moment, I'm reading a book by R.C. Sheriff, who was the author behind a play. He's best known for a play, the name of which I've already forgotten, and I can't even remember the name of the book I'm reading, which is really fucking annoying. But it's basically about a family who go on holiday in the 1950s, and that's it. It's just about a family that go on holiday, but it's so wonderfully written and so lovely and so sort of, I don't know, poignant. It's tremendous. My cousin Emily sent me it, just, completely out of the blue, and said, I read this while I was on holiday, I think you'll like it. And you know what? It makes a really fucking nice change to read something like that. It's great. Yeah.
Well, I think to be honest with your listeners, one of the reasons I haven't been back on is we've spent a few years trying to work out what book to read, and we could, but we won't share the ongoing conversations about why can't we read a decent one.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, that's not really the nature of the podcast. I'm like, yeah, but you're like, Dennis, like, you owe me, like you fucking seriously owe me.
Yeah.
And we've been kicking around whether we can find any books that can be considered high quality that are going to be under 120 pages that you and I could conceivably review in less than 9 to 12 hours. And I think that's been the sticking point, isn't it?
It has, and I have suggested Spearmen of Arn, but you shot me down. And I think I've suggested a couple of things, but we did actually settle on one, which was your choice.
On Amber. It's on the shelf, man. It's on my in shelf.
Yeah.
We started dicking about a bit, and I think I suggested some of either Rob Grant or Doug Naylor's, or interchangeably their names, one of their books, because they were slightly shorter, but they are quite complex. It's a bit like reading Douglas Adams and thinking you're going to be done in a week, isn't it? Like, we'll just be there just talking about the best metaphors and the best jokes, and
Yeah, it's true. We do have some people who are still hankering for us to do Nine Princes in Amber, so maybe we should just pull our fingers out and do it. That book by R.C. Sheriff was The Fortnight in September, and he's best known for doing the play Journey's End.
Ah, well done.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Have you done Behold the Man yet? Because we're waiting for the party version of that, haven't we?
Yeah, we haven't done Behold the Man yet, but when I interviewed the guy himself for the last episode, he suggested that we do it again in 2025. And I was originally... I had the idea that when I did interview Michael Moorcock, that I would call the episode Behold the Man, and then go, do a couple of other episodes actually talking about the Behold the Man book as well, and I wanted to ask him about it. So if we do reconnect with him in the spring and do a part 2, which I'm hoping that we do, because he seemed game for it, is I'd like to tie that into Behold the Man in some way. But yes, Behold the Man is still one of the obvious ones that we need to do. Behold the Man, Warlord of the Air, and The First Dances at the End of Time book are the really obvious, thorny ones that are sticking out after 100 episodes that we haven't even looked at yet. So, yeah, Behold the Man, I think, has got to happen in 2025. Maybe at Easter. Fuck it. Yeah, Easter special, Behold the Man. Yeah, why not?
Time for it. What do we drink for Easter?
Oh, God, I don't know. By the way, the Bacardi Raspberry actually works quite well.
I thought it would.
In a pint of Snowball. So, yeah. Bingo. That's one really, really nicely. Right, before we get on to our chosen lazy topic for episode 101.
Did we actually choose a lazy topic? Have we lazily chose a lazy topic, or we just don't?
Yeah, so this all goes back to when Loz and Phil and I recorded the birthday special last year. I threw together a lazy quiz, which was, I went online, I actually stole this from a video podcast on YouTube called Mr. Sunday Movies, and they do it from time to time. I found a load of 1-star reviews of Moorcock books and did a quiz where they had to guess the Moorcock book from the 1-star review. So it was extraordinarily lazy, but a lot of fun, and we got really drunk while we did it. It was a good laugh. So I thought, well, I can't do that this year. And what's even easier than looking up a load of 1-star reviews, copying and pasting them into a Word document? I thought, well, it's episode 101, so why don't we do our very own fantasy and science fiction Room 101? So I've already recorded a bit with Miles. I'm recording a bit with you for your personal Room 101 of things in the sci-fi and fantasy genre that you would happily see condemned to a room, strapped into a seat with a hat cage put on with rats to eat the face. So, that's what we're going to do in a minute. But I know that you like your Raymond D. Feist, right? Feast or Feist?
Who knows?
Yeah, whatever. Now, I've never read any Raymond D. Feist, but I remember, was it Darkness at Sathanon or whatever?
Yeah.
Was that one of his, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I remember a mate at school swearing by Raymond D. Feist. How would you sell a Raymond D. Feist fantasy book to a fantasy fan who's never read it?
It depends what they're already reading, though, doesn't it? I mean, and also, what's in it for me for the sale?
Well, nothing. Just good fellowship and conversation.
And so it was like, I like fantasy. What do you read? I'm like, if you ever read any Feist? They were like, no. I'm like, try it. It's good if you like it. There's fucking loads of them.
Oh, well, okay, that's fair enough. It's out there and there's tons of it. All right. No, yeah, that's quite Moorcocky in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, like it is. It's a modern Moorcock. There's like each book's about 3 times the size of a Moorcock.
Yeah.
But you've still got that kind of Mills and Boone-esque sort of formula, that comfortable camaraderie that we've talked before about being quite good in the early, is it Gemmell? Eddings, the early Eddings, back, I don't know, long time ago. But, people chatting on a horseback, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
You've got your usual MacGuffins, you've got your ongoing built-up background baddies. It's everything you're looking for in fantasy. It's reasonably written. I will say the last sort of 10 or 5 or 10 books got to be so poorly spell checked it was off-putting. But they fixed it finally. I don't know what, presumably sacked the person. So the newer books, the last few, are better again. But it's reliably entertaining. It's, would I say it's slightly more complex than the Brandon Sandersons, probably. But of course, all fantasy is we read it because it is, to an extent, it gives us what we're looking for, doesn't it? It's got the same sort of, and this is the thing when they say, like, what do you hate about Fantasy 101? I'm like, well, it's done badly. Every trope, every trademark is great if it's done brilliantly, and they're all just as badly or awful if they're done badly, right? So, I'm down with every MacGuffin and every quest and every, whatever surprise return from the dead, or you thought the last bad guy was bad, but this one was working for him, and he's even worse, and I know they were working for him, and he's even like, I mean, bring it all to me. I'm down for it. If you put something in, what are you going to be left with? Do you know what I mean? Like, what? I wonder. I'll be interested to hear the other people's 101 if they can be super specific about it. But I think I said to you at the time when you proposed the session, I'm like, but it's a bit like alcohol. There's something for everybody, right? There's somebody at home drinking their M&S Advocaat now, think it's the best thing they've ever tasted, and I'm happy for them. I'm like, great. So I don't have to drink it. That's the beauty of the world, right? We all get to be different, and there's, if anything, like the problem with the idea if we can ban things, and this is probably a very sensitive subject for the end of 2024, is
Oh shit! Let's not get so serious that we think that if we want to condemn something to have its face eaten by rats, we're talking about book banning. We're just talking about personal preferences.
Well, this is the thing, but like that's the point of it. It's all personal preferences, and I would rather see a bookshop with like 1 million books in it instead of the usual same couple hundred, and you could genuinely get lost in there and buy them affordably. And we've got the internet now, so it kind of gives us that. But now we have AI writing for us, so you have to find out if it's a real person or not, and self-publishing. So some sort of way to get more ideas is not a bad idea, is it?
No, this is true. So,
and also, how many shit books must the great authors have written before they wrote the great book? I mean, how many shit songs? How many bum notes must the greatest musicians have played? Like, when do we cap creativity? And why is it not okay to be a bit shit sometimes?
Well,
so I would say the concept that we can't all be okay, bit shit sometimes, that should go in the 101. That should go straight in there, because like, fuck it, we're all human, we're all trying. It's all a creative process and learning, right? To write really awful books that people are still talking about 4 years later. Because I've read a lot of books, but in a weird way, Dana sticks with me emotionally, like that meal. Like it had there was some gristle in that book that my body's struggling to process. But like you say, he's rewritten it. Hopefully, he's living off some profits and he's having his best life. Like, why not?
Yeah, I think that is a fair suggestion for your personal room 101. Actually, just purely the suggestion that any kind of creativity should be put in the bin because somebody doesn't like it, and there is room for everything, isn't there? I mean,
I paint. People hate it. Don't care. I paint because I enjoy it. Like I don't. It's not about other people. You make podcasts. Some people love it. Some people like, who the fuck's Moorcock? If we didn't do it, why? Yeah.
And some people give you a review saying 1 star, worst accent ever. That's cool, man. I appreciate your opinion. But no, I think that is a fair one. And I honestly wouldn't put much as we struggled with Danis. I wouldn't put Danis in room 101
I wouldn't,
because we had such a fucking good time with it.
it was a laugh. It remains a laugh. You know, it's I can still see the cover now. Like it was impactful in many ways.
Yeah.
And that's some guy living his best life. So what? You bought it, I bought it. I think you probably bought it twice, didn't you? And then like you bought his reboots. Like why not? Why wouldn't you just do?
Yeah, I think I've had 3 copies of the Dark Straits of Reglathium over the years, because I sent you a copy, then realised that I'd already bought a second copy. So you sent your copy to Graham, I sent my copy to someone else, so I've still got my other copy. Then there's the copy I had when I was at school, God knows where that went. So I might have had 4 copies of the Dark Straits of Reglathium over the years. And then I've got the rewrite, which it's got a really strange name, like, you know, the dim narrows of Boglathium or something. It's like, it's rewritten, but barely. Yeah. But come on, you know, you got to play the game with me now. Right. You got to play the game. So
I've got to pretend. We did discuss this earlier, and I said I'm too close to Christmas to have ire. I put it down on Friday, and I'll pick it up on the 6th. And in between, like I'm trying to just chill with it. But you know, And in the interest of your show,
you got to play the game. Throw me a bone.
Things that can go in 101, sci-fi and fantasy related. To be honest, everything I've just said about creativity, personally, I'd put The Expanse in there.
Oh,
it was beautiful, but it went nowhere. Like it was just, you know, like it was so unresolved. It'd be like these very long stretches of fuck all, with a whole lot of fuck all, and maybe some more fuck all out there, and it was. And then they stopped it, but it took them 5 seasons to realise that fuck all happened. Like, how could I knew that after I'd still watched all 5 seasons. I've had time on my hands, so you know, a lot of us have in the last few years. But The Expanse for me personally, but I wouldn't put it in room 101. I would say that sci-fi wise, it did the opposite of what that Game of Thrones did for fantasy, right? Because that really got a whole wider audience. Now, I hate the fucking stuff. It's not kind of magic. It's a load of war. I've never read it. I've never watched it. It's not my cup of tea. But it's got a load of people who used to be like, oh, fantasy is for nerds, thinking like, oh, fantasy is really cool. And just, I think just the idea of expanding our mind and consciousness about what could be possible is also really healthy. So fantasy for me is a healthy mental exercise. And, you know, some of the escapism, great. Yeah. But that sci-fi, when you get bad sci-fi shows, I feel like they can be very, I mean, you know, obviously I can either call it pre-programming or soft disclosure, depending on which side you're looking at it. You know, a lot of it's very dystopian and dark and just disappointing, because I would have loved to seen the same resurgence into sci-fi investment over the last few years that we've seen into however many spin-offs of Lord of the Rings that we've seen.
The Expanse is an interesting case, isn't it? Because I mean, I never read the books. I got the books. Well, I got some of the books, and I looked at them, and I just thought, oh God, can I be asked to commit my time to reading a series of books that, when you put them on the shelf, are about 2 feet from end to end? There's not enough hours of the day. But I enjoyed the series at the beginning. I really enjoyed the hard sci-fi angle. I enjoyed like the sort of the science and physics. Not that it was really nerdy or explained, but everything felt nicely plausible. I liked the setup. I liked the political setup. But it did very rapidly, by maybe the 3rd or 4th series, get really, really bogged down. And I think once Thomas Jane, once his detective character basically exited stage left, I think it really started to struggle to live up to its own concepts. And I know it got cancelled, and then Jeff Bezos picked it up for Prime. And the last season was so disappointing and underwhelming in that it seeded so many things but never explained them, and you knew it was never going to come back to conclude them. And that is one of the most frustrating things about investing yourself in a TV show, isn't it?
Yeah, like I say, it did the opposite. It was anti-Game of Thrones for sci-fi. It was, but for me, like, it had promised, but it never delivered. It didn't deliver in season 1. I hope season 2 would. It didn't deliver, and it continued to be disappointing. but it was beautiful. Like you say, that the backshot was great. I think around halfway through season 5, I bought the last few books thinking, oh, fuck this shit, I'll find out what happened.
Yeah.
And then before they cancelled it, the guy, I don't know, he touched somebody or said he might touch somebody. And then
that's right, yeah.
he got picked up. So then the books went diverged from where the series was going anyway. So I got the books, and like you, I had them, and it had that same Danis effect on me. I looked at it, and it made me feel like I'd smoked some, dodgy plastic-filled resin back in the 90s. Like it was like somebody hit me around the back of the head with a shovel.
Yeah.
But what I did find it really effective for was fire lighting. So I had those last 3, and they've started many a fire in this house, because there's certain books that I don't even take them to the charity shop. I'm like, they're not going to thank me for this. It's like, who's going to thank me for this? They need to burn. So they've gone on the fire, which I suppose is my own personal book-related Room 101, isn't it?
Well, that is like, if you resort to book burning, that is the ultimate Room 101
Not
move,
all.
isn't it?
I don't know how I'm going out buying them up and then burning it for other people's copies. Just my own, it's reasonable.
Oh dear. Yeah. Okay. So The Expanse. I think that is a fair consideration. What I'll have to do is put it to the panel vote when we record the rest of this podcast.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want to put it in because it was beautiful.
Yeah. Well, lucky. I am going to put it in.
No, I would say I don't want Expanse to go in. I want the impact it's had on decent sci-fi funding. That's what I want to go in.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
So
I think that's absolutely fair enough.
Creative exercise, great exercise, right? It's a bit like we had Serenity, that was great.
Yeah.
Killjoys, five seasons, brilliant, start to finish. They had the funding cut.
Mm-hmm.
They cut it down. They got the story in. That was a really excellent sci-fi. I don't know if you caught it about a decade ago now.
I saw some of the first season. Phil really loved it. Phil watched it all. Yeah.
Yeah. The problem with the first season, and they did fix it for the second season, is they threw a lot at it. It was incredibly busy, and the background music was just like really super loud, like awful. So it had quite even if you wanted to watch it, it was a bit like, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this anymore, what I would imagine an epileptic fit to feel like. It was just too much going on in their head, like the music and all the things we're trying to introduce. When they got off that shit, because they felt that they got season 2 secured, they then calmed down and then they fleshed out all the stories. It was like, it was the opposite to how Babylon 5 rolled, where the first season was all like stories introducing characters, and then they built up all the big shit at the end, right? They were just dropping it. Well, these guys were like, police funders. It was a bit like, the music was them dancing around the excessive narrative pole to get the next. But yeah, they calmed that shit down in season 2, and it really did. It was probably the best since Bab 5 in terms of sci-fi.
It is. Well, I was about to say it's a ball ache that you don't really get sci-fi that is trusted to be, a big viewership winner, like a Game of Thrones for fantasy or anything like that. But I mean, Game of Thrones wasn't really true fantasy anyway, was it? It had some dragons in it, but apart from that, it's Wars of the Roses. Yeah,
but think of it for normal people. Like it's like gateway fantasy, right? It's like Sharp with dragons. Like it's gateway fantasy for people who never thought that they could get into fantasy, and then that's got them into like opening their minds and trying fantasy. And like it's bizarre what a big thing it's become, right? Even it doesn't even seem to be a particularly good story, but
Yeah. So I mean, I saw a little bit of Killjoys. There was another one that we started watching as well, another Canadian one, Dark something or other. I don't know, I can't remember. They pop up every few years, and you're either going to get Lex, the Dark Zone, or whatever the fuck that was called, which I think we need more of, to be honest. I mean, if you look back at
Lex is hilarious. I loved Lex.
If you look back at Lex now and you look at the computer graphics and everything else, you're just like, holy shit. But at the time, it was so fucking out there and weird and off the wall and committed to being weird. You just had to admire it.
Yeah, where's the modern day Lexes, right? But this is the thing, like, so Star Trek's got that fucking whole thing there. I mean, how many different franchises they got running concurrently at the minute? I actually quite like the cartoon one. Was it Below Decks? That's
Below
really
Decks,
quite funny, like for Star Trek, and it takes the piss out of Star Trek. And if you've watched most of the Star Treks, then there's a lot of in-jokes for you. I didn't watch it from Enterprise, Discovery, and Picard. They're all shite. I do quite like Strange New Worlds. It's a bit like old what's the word with Picard in it?
Next Generation, yeah.
Next Gen, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Generations were like, no, that's a film. Fuck
Yeah.
me. There's so much Star Trek. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And then when they rewrote the history in the new films of the old films, I'm like, oh man, that's so Disney Marvel. So Star Trek have got like most of the mainstream sci-fi nailed, and then you've got Marvel on the other side, you know, sold out to Disney 98. So it's just like how many different. That's just a whole franchising nightmare. It's very, like I was saying before, more creativity. I'd rather see more shit films or like low budget, you know, like independently shot. Really, because I got into it, I think, a couple of years ago, and I can't even remember which channel it was on. You know, like short, independent sci-fi movies. You know, like kind of people who just
is it Dust?
Yeah, that was
Dust on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, some really good stuff on there.
Exactly. I saw some better stuff on there than I've seen on any of the mainstream stuff. But then if you look back at, I think historically I might have had something of a rant after some drinks about what they did to Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
But, you know, his early work, like Brain Dead, when before he had funding, was a great film.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, I want more Zardoses, you know? I want more. There's a film by a French director called Claire Denis called High Life, which you know Robert Pattinson since Twilight has just been going out of his way to do like weird independent films and just like keep himself entertained and not do things that are predictable. Okay, he became Batman, which is perhaps is like his big his only real big franchise thing since Twilight, but he's done some fucking terrific movies. And there's one called High Life. I think it was from 2017 or 18. It's absolutely fantastic. It's low-key, it's weird, it's sexually charged. It's just a fucking great film, a great independent film with a really strong independent aesthetic. And they are out there. They're quite hard to find, but they are out there still. And it's probably no different to what, to how it was even when Zardos came out in the 1970s. Zardos came out and it wasn't long before. Well, I think it is different because everything's fucking franchised now, isn't it? Everything's like a corporate industrial machine, a streaming
That's what I mean. Like, they're just churning them out. Like, they go,
Yeah.
what do you release in yours? We'll release ours, and then the toys will come out. And it's just, we're drowning in bullshit.
Yeah.
Although, I do believe that's changing. I do believe,
Yeah, I do recommend High Life, though. And I think Pattinson's got another one coming out. It's by the Korean director who did Snowpiercer, I think.
Yeah, that was a great film. I
Yeah.
didn't watch the series.
I watched the first half dozen episodes and gave up. It was classic streaming. We've got a really, really fantastic self-contained idea that works brilliantly. Let's wring the shit out of it for 4 seasons.
Yeah.
It's like, no, no, can't be asked. Let's over-explain everything. No. So, right.
This is the weird thing. Like, there's certain series that seem to get like infinite. What they got to season 3 of Lost, they went right, have 9 of them.
Yeah.
Just stick them around and then say you were dreaming or you died or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
it's just certain things that just seem to get infinite funding that make it worse, and then certain things that have promise that get no funding or limited funding or get cut short. It has been such an inverted thing. So that bullshit can go into Room 101. Can bullshit go into Room 101?
Well, I think we need to be a little bit more specific.
Do we?
Well, yeah, I mean, okay. Bullshit can go in Room 101, except bullshit probably acts quite well as fertilizer. So we need to be more specific about our bullshit.
Okay. So any bullshit not used for the fertilization of, useful things like crops. That should all go. Like, excessive bullshit. I mean, who's on the panel? Before we get into anything that's going to go in, I want to know how this is already skewed, mate.
Well,
we're not voting online, are we? There's not one of those inverted comma systems.
No, what's going to happen is
somebody's going to pretend to shoot you.
Loz is going to come over next Saturday, and we're going to get really drunk. And Loz is going to share his 3, and Phil's going to share our 3, and I'm going to share my 3. And then we're going to talk about everything that everybody else has submitted, because we've got a lot in writing. that we're going to look at. But you know what? I think seeing as you and Miles made the time to actually come online and actually discuss them, we won't put yours to the vote. We'll just let them stand. How about that? How about
Well,
that for generosity?
How about I'll try not to put anything into Room 101 that somebody might want sometime without having to get a face full of rats for.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, so far, to be honest, so far we've got The Expanse, which you've said, yeah, I didn't like it, but I don't want to put it in Room 101 anyway because someone might get some use out of it because it's pretty. You know. So
I am in the Christmas mood. No,
yeah.
but I said like the impact it's had on sci-fi funding can go on.
Yes.
Like the state of the sci-fi world can go in Room 101 because then it can change, right? 2025, new world, new start, new aliens.
So, yeah.
You know.
All right, fair enough. Right, what else have you got?
Sci-fi fantasy wise, to be honest, the lack of decent new sci-fi fantasy, the lack of boundary pushing next level. Where have we gone since the 70s? You tell me. Like Feist has done a great 23 books of the original series.
Yeah.
Pretty much, it's a development of the same thing. Like where are we going? Where's our expansion? What's next level? What's coming? Who's new? What's different? What's good? Has fantasy as a genre stalled like sci-fi as a film and TV sort of modality is stalled? Like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, what are people thinking about? Are they all on TikTok? Is that what's happening to the next generation?
You know, I feel hopelessly divorced from it all, to be honest, because I go in Waterstones, and the biggest problem when you go in Waterstones and look at the fantasy section is obviously, or the sci-fi section, whatever. You obviously get all of your, you get some of your classic stuff. Obviously, you won't see a lot of Moorcock in there for whatever fucking reason, but you'll get your Philip K. Dick Masterworks editions, and you'll get other odds and sods. But then there's a whole lot of new fantasy. And there's loads of them. And even if you go to a second-hand shop, sometimes you actually get a little bit of fantasy in there. You'll get a lot of these massive fucking tomes that are 400 pages long, and it's like part 3 of the Bone Sword trilogy or the Bone Sword quadrilogy or some fucking thing. And they've got the most bland covers that look like they were just put together in 5 minutes on Photoshop or just from a series of stock images that they seem to have floating around for paperbacks these days. There are no garish, lurid covers anymore. And it's like, I look at it all, none of it appeals to me. You know?
Nothing grabbing, is there?
No. It's not like, when you saw when I saw a copy of The Broken Sword, or like a late 60s copy of The Broken Sword on Pops's fucking coffee table, when I was 12 and thought, ooh, what is that? No book covers these days do that anymore.
Well, they don't have the artists, do they? They don't do like the hand-drawn fucking dragons in serious detail with like there's no effort. So it's like AI, give me fantasy thing with dragon plus pearl, whatever it is. I don't know.
Maybe it is. Maybe modern fantasy fans do find all of their tips through TikTok. I don't fucking know, because I'm not getting it from looking at a book on a shelf. So
what I'm saying is, it's not the fans, it's the writers. Like, where's the new blood? Where's the new ideas? Who's writing this shit? Where's the new stuff that 20 years from now someone's going to be ripping apart on a podcast or whatever the equivalent is, like some direct consciousness stream about like how they feel about the new Dennis. Like where's it coming from?
Yeah.
So I would say that fantasy inertia, that can go in. So sci-fi movie and TV inertia, that can go into Room 101.
Yep.
Boundary pushing inertia in like fantasy worlds, that can go in. Because it's all the same fucking shit. I love it, don't get me wrong, I love it. But it's a bit like, to bring it back to a festive comparison, this year it's gone OTT, and as somebody who's watched a lot of Christmas movies in the last few years, fuck me, there's a lot of Christmas movies out this year. And they're all the same. And it's got to the point that even I, who will watch most Christmas movies, can just get through the description and go, no, I can't do another fucking town. Oh, we're going to save the fucking Christmas festival, or the bell, or the mill, or there's a lonely model, or there's a print. There's just no. It's just recycling the same shit. And I think we've talked about this before. It's a spiritual war that can go in Room 101. It's a spiritual war to like just make us think that all the new ideas have been had, all the new fashions have been had. There's nothing more out there. Like there's no new storylines. We're just going to do 20 different versions of Scrooge.
Mm.
You know, like-
We watched one of those Netflix ones the other day. I think it was a Lindsay Lohan one, because for whatever reason, in previous Christmases when we've had a bit of time, we just thought, fuck it, let's watch the Hallmark Christmas channel or Christmas 24, whatever those free channels are that just show back-to-back shit Christmas movies. Yeah. And you might get one with Lou Diamond Phillips in it or something, and you're like, oh, they've got Lou Diamond Phillips, amazing.
I've seen that one.
Yeah, really lifting the quality floor on this one. They've got Lou Diamond Phillips, but now Netflix is ploughing loads of cash into them and paying Lindsay Lohan loads of money to be in them, and they're exactly the same but glossier, but they're still the same
Christmas
shit.
Inheritance. I don't.
Oh, I don't know. This one was called. What was it called? It was called Our Little Secret. Yeah.
Oh, I don't think. Yeah, the thing. Some of these, I'm like, I watched one. I watched half of one, and I had to go and do some tidying because I had some guests, and I came, and I'm like, why am I feeling anxious?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, fucking hell. I'm like, I narrowed it down because it was an English one. And so the English ones are all austerity porn. They're all like, oh, you know, there might be a millionaire coming to save her, but she's fucking broke. Yeah. Oh, he's dead and she's broke. And it's fucking all hard.
Yeah.
But most of the Americans are just like super middle class. Oh, have you noticed? This can go in Room 101 because I don't think anybody, even if you were living close to this kind of life on the edge of that stereotype sort of extreme, you would want it to be out there in the world. I don't think anybody would be sad to see it go. The new, we'll make a black Christmas film, but we'll make them ghetto as fuck.
Oh my God, I've not been exposed to this.
Check Amazon. Amazon Prime have got a few. I mean, obviously, I've got a profile. You know, Amazon know more about me than like, we've been together for longer, and so you know, yeah. But there's this. It's like the new blaxploitation,
right?
Christmas film. Because I was getting into like I've got the husband. I've got him into try. You know, we're exploring the world of Christmas movies, and the concept of Christmas movie bingo works for us. And I'm like, look, what you need the main white character, and either the woman or the man's going to need they're going to have to be a minority, black, Asian, or maybe black, Asian, and gay. And if they're going to be gay, it's going to have to be with a white person. Well, that's usually if there's a family affair. So there's going to be like, you know, the parents, the son, he's going to be gay, but he's going to be a black gay, and they're going to have like a kid. And so it's like Christmas movie bingo. We found our favorite, like my favorite one this Christmas. It was one, and it was on ITVX, and it's called The Holiday Journey. Recommend it to anyone. Great movie, based loosely on a true story. A bit like Plane, Trains and Automobiles. The flight didn't go. They're all trying to get somewhere. That people got on a bus, and all they had different experiences. So, you know, you had the gay, you had had all the different people just happened to be on this one bus. But the best subplot was there was this couple who had their entire relationship breakdown in Cantonese with no subtitles. And they must have had like 15 minutes. And I'm like, if I'd have known to put that on Christmas bingo, I would still be pissed right now, because that would have been like 1 in 1,000 chance. There's going to be not just a minority subplot, but a minority subplot that did get resolved in a very festive manner by the end, but in a language that at no point, apart from the looks on the faces and the expressions, like at no point could you understand the fact that they just didn't get on. Yeah. Like it was beautifully inclusive in a please don't bomb us China kind of Christmas way. It was profound. It touched me, Andy. It touched me really deeply. But yeah, like Christmas movie bingo, that's a real thing. But no, they've got really bad. Like they've got really insipid and repetitive and tedious. And whereas it used to be like, you know, darkly moving. One of my favorite Christmas movies, it's from the 80s. It had he played the angel Gabrielle, and so there was a woman, and she didn't celebrate Christmas, and her husband had been laid off, and they were losing the house because he lived in a house that belonged to the factory, and they had two
This sounds
kids.
like a Ken Loach Christmas movie.
Oh, this is the American. This is where English movies are now, right? So the youngest kid wrote to Santa and said, "I'd like my mum to appreciate Christmas," right? So Santa came along to help him out. So the Gabriel was sent by, the man, and he helped buy. The husband went to they were going out shopping. Oh no, the wife had gone out, I think, and someone was trying to sell like a barbecue because he was also skint, but it was winter, and she's like, I haven't got money for a barbecue. He's like, but I need to get some kids, and she's like, I can't buy it. So he then robbed the garage and then stole her car with her kids in it, which he then drove into the river, killed her kids. So then her kids died, and her husband was in the garage and he got shot. So her entire family died, and she went home and thought about it. Like, you know what? Christmas ain't so bad. And so the angel gives her back a kiss, gives her another chance to go back and buy the barbecue she didn't need. Yeah, and and it was a happy ending. It was happy. Have you ever seen It's a Wonderful Life? Have you ever seen that the banker gets away with stealing $6,000 and never has any repercussions for it? Did you see that bit?
Yeah.
I mean, like, that is so pro-capitalism. It's beautiful. I think that's why people cry. They're like, but the banker, God bless him, he got that $6,000, and he nearly got his soul. Next year we'll get his soul.
Yeah, that film you've just described actually sounds like one of the crappy Star Trek plots where everybody starts dying, but there's a time dilation reset at the end, and everything's back to normal. But when you're watching the show, when you're watching the episode, and somebody dies unexpectedly, then somebody else ages and turns to dust, you're thinking, oh right, this is all going to get reset at the end, and the peril is actually an illusion. Yeah.
Stargate Continuum. No, not Continuum.
Whereas, had that been a true Ken Loach Christmas movie, every fucker would have died and stayed dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. So that's the American version back in the 80s, but in the English version these days, they'd all be dead, and she'd owe money for fucking healthcare and funerals. Like, it's proper hardcore British like misery.
Yeah. We need to write to one of these hardcore English actors. Mind you, even they're getting dragged into the big American slop now. Who's that Scottish actor who did a lot of like really grim, gritty movies, and he played King during the Rings of Power. I mean, it's probably the only good thing in the Rings of Power, to be honest. Pete or something? I don't know. I can't remember. But we need people like that. We need people like that in Christmas movies. We need those hardcore Scottish, grim actors who are super intense. That there can be the guy who the advertising exec from New York who moves to a small Scottish island and falls in love with the Highland Prince. Fuck the Highland Prince. Put her on an island with Brian Cox and some of these guys, and make
Vincent
it like
Price, like the modern Vincent Price.
Yeah. Make it a reverse local hero or something. Yeah, that's what I want. But I've got to say, we have actually flipped this on its head now. So this is really room 010, because what we actually said is, do not put Christmas movies in the corner. Everybody watch Christmas movies.
No.
No.
Do we?
Well, I think so. I think you've really done a hard sell.
I think what I've said was Christmas movies have suffered the same fate as the rest of literature and sci-fi. It's like they're stalled, like they're just like they're going so far up their own ass, they're insane.
Well, yeah. Reasonable, I suppose. Peter Mullen. That's all I'm on about. Yeah. All Christmas movies should end up with the rich, beautiful, middle-aged advert fucking CEO or whatever they call them, moving to a Scottish island and being menaced by Peter Mullen. Yeah. That's what we need. That's what we need.
But do you know what? If one of them did that, that'd be awesome. Oh, like one of my favourite. This is the thing. This is what I'm saying. Like, you can take the trope and you can play with it. One of my favourite, right? She got married to this guy she fell in love with at high school, and they had these two kids. And she had that Christmas thing where she went back in time and they showed her like high school because he was a cunt and her kids were broke, right? So they went back in time and she realised that she could have not married that prick. And so she didn't. She married like a really nice guy who ended up being really rich and had really nice kids. And at no point in the film did she go, I want my kids back. Do you know, like, take the trope, spin it. Like, even if it makes it weird, just fucking spin it a bit. Just don't give me, loads of Scrooges.
Yeah. What we need is this shit set in fantasy land, because the really annoying thing about, like what you've said about, okay, Game of Thrones kind of introduced some zest for sinking money into fantasy. So you've had stuff like The Witcher and stuff like The Rings of Power and stuff like Game of Thrones spin-offs and God knows what else. But if you think back to the 80s...
You watched The Witcher?
I didn't like it. Phil watched it all. I got halfway through the first series and gave up. But if you think back to the 80s, when we were kids and we were going in VHS rental stores, the sheer amount of low-rent fantasy films and Conan knockoffs that you got on VHS, if you started a Fantasy 24 film channel and bought all of those movies and all the Italian knockoffs and all the Spanish knockoffs and all of the Barbarian Queens and Deathstalker and Deathstalker 2 and Deathstalker 3 and the Sword and the Sorcerer and Beastmaster 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5.
Well, they did that. Wasn't that, was it AD 2000 or the robots sitting in the theatre?
Oh, Mystery Science Theatre 3000, yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, but what I would really like to see is all this money is being invested in Christmas movies. What I would love to do is live in a world where we could rejig or invigorate that 80s passion for low-rent fantasy films and get them on a dedicated channel. Because for the amount of money that it costs to put together a few sets and pay Lou Diamond Phillips to be the handsome farmer who, sweeps the advertising executive off her feet when they're saving the Christmas tree or whatever, you could spend that money on putting together some shit sets and doing Deathstalker 17, You
could do it on the same set, and if you did it at the same time, it would make all films better films.
Fill them all back to back. Yeah, that's
no film looking currently, mate. I want them seeing vacation under the snow while you've got a snow monster in the back, like chasing with spears. Like that has not been done. So I'm saying, why stop? Why limit ourselves to the fucking confines that we've been like placed within?
Yeah.
These are the days. This is my rally cry to creatives. I don't care if it's weird. Fucking do it. Do you? And it's like that 100 monkey experiment. The more of us that push the boundaries into the weird, and even people go, that's weird. And then more people do that. And then like the more people, like it gets less weird. What's weird is that we just accept the dross that's thrown out to us twice a fucking year. And we catch up after 3.5 years. And I say, oh yeah, 2 minutes of the best books I've read in 3.5 years. You haven't even got two minutes. No offense, mate. That's your Christmas fun, isn't it? Catching up on 3.5 years of shit books. I mean, it ain't right. It ain't right. Can I get an amen?
Well, you can get an amen, but it's all right. It ain't right. But who do we need to be going to and shouting that in their face? And if they look at us blankly and think, "Who are you? Why are you drunk? Why does your breath smell of?"
Tell you what, Alex.
Tell
you what, Andy. Here's an idea. Here's a blow your mind. 101 feels like 1001. Fucking Dennis. Here's 101th episode concept that I throw down as a personal challenge to us. And the next year, we can come up with I don't know, I've written shitty, boring ass papers that are like 30,000 words. So we can come up with a 30,000 word story between us that is weird and wacky and pushes some envelope, even if it's internal. So next Christmas, we can drop our fucking Christmas book, courtesy of Andy and Natasha, of the weirdest, wackiest. Remember when you're at school and you used to fold the papers over like last day of term and you'd write like a bit of a story, then hand it over and write a bit of a story. It's just like, just releasing, because I think that'll stop me bitching for Room 101 and allow us to release to the positive consciousness what we want to create. We want to open the envelope for people to do more Dennis. I'd rather see 20 new Dennis and one fucking Lord of the Rings, or 20,000 Dennis and one Lord of the Rings. Something beautiful in the next year. And who's going to start it? Who's going to give people permission to be shit, to be good?
Well, you know what? If out of those 30,000 words, we just commit immediately to having at least 8,000 of those words be an unfathomably complicated description of a ball game, I think we could do it.
Andy, don't tell them it's a ball. Don't. Let's not.
Okay, yeah. It's some kind of weird bladder. Yeah.
No, like it's some kind, because we could do essentially a ball game on a totally. We could do it proper sci-fi. We could spend like 25,000 words explaining the technology at which we use this ball game in a virtual way, where it's a hexagonal but infinite, like fractal hexagonal. So it's a quantum ball in a quantum space with quantum players, but then it's operated on a quantum computer in it. So, like, I mean, we could set that shit up for.
But it's not a ball; it's a gruffnag. Yeah, it's a gruffnag that is 74 kimigs in circumference. Yeah. Oh, you see, we've cracked it already. We've got our fucking basic concept, haven't we? We've cracked it. Not only will we do that in 2025, but we will prepare a screen treatment to send to Christmas Movies 24 and say, this is technically a Christmas movie script.
Do you know what? I see no reason, given everything we've just said, why we can't move forward with like the ultimate sci-fi fantasy Christmas short story. And I mean, I also see no reason why between us we couldn't get the fucking thing filmed in the next 12 months and release it on YouTube as like a 7-minute like Christmas bonanza.
Yeah, we'll send it to Dust. We'll send it to Dust and say, make this as a Christmas special. They'll be all over it like a rash. Well, you know what?
We'll be all over them like a rash.
Yeah, well, yeah, probably. On that was Tash's Room 101. So lovely to see you again in Derry and Tom's, Tash. And we will reconvene in 2025 because it's been too long and cover, I don't know, Spearmen of Arn, or no, we won't cover Spearmen of Arn. We won't cover another Dana's book. We will maybe do 9 Princes in Amber. How does that sound?
I've had Amber for 3 years now, waiting to hear those words again from you.
We almost talked about doing Dragonlance, didn't we?
Yeah.
At one point.
We almost talked about a lot of things.
Too long. 9 Princes in Amber in the spring. It's a deal. Oh, you're looking pensive now. Yeah.
Well, no, that, and of course, Behold the Man in our Easter special. Like
Behold the Man Easter special. Yes, absolutely. All right, it's a deal.
We're on.
All right. Well, a very Merry Christmas to you and your husband.
And a very Merry Christmas to you, your wife, and all your wonderful listeners and friends and, you know, co-victims in this operation we called Breakfast in the Ruins.
Bless you.
A million thanks to Miles, Loz, Phil, and Tash, and of course to everybody who stuck with us in 2024. Not only stuck with us, but found us, and not only 2024, but any year since we actually kicked off. So thank you all, thanks for listening, and I look forward to talking to you again in 2025. And of course, eternal thanks to our patrons. First up, with those without tier, Anthony Piconti, Tim Cardos, Dave Dempster, and Sebastian Weetabix. And our chaos engineers, Ed Von Stout, Andrew Cicluna, Andrew Spong, Andrew Van Ness, Anthony Porter, Benjamin Fletcher, Ben Hagar, Brandon Mays, Dan Charnley, Dave Griffiths, Dave Voxman, Gabriel Laycock, Harvey Faulkner Aston, Jim Kirkland, Jim Jupp, John W. Lays, Jules Lawrence, Mal Pertwee, Matt Saltz, Michael Hopwood, Nick Hopkinson, Ofer Ziv, Paul McRandall, PJ Cooper, Scott Butler, and Simon Perrins. And of course, our crafty jugaderos, Christian Hundal, Graham Holden, Kevin Williams, Liam Turner, Loz, Mark Taylor, Matthew Broom, Murray Palmer, Sean Twist, Toby White, Taylor Lavery, and Adrian Tchaikovsky, and our mighty, inscrutable patron demons, Action Edmonds, Alistair Davison, Andrew Clark, Andy Darby, David Lee, Derek Clunan, Fred Quiche, Gareth Wilson, Glenn Sawyer, Greg Faulkner, Gwen Barlow, Ian Stead, Janie Stim, Jason Vogel, Joachim Sund, Joe Monty, Johan Chiappa, Jonathan Sharp, Lee Gary, Marius Latauskas, Mark Hebden, Miles Riedel-Batter, Neil Burton, Paul Hillary, Randall Gatlin, Steve Round, Tom Murphy, Tony Malazzo, the OG patron Norman Beresford, and last, but never least, Robert McMillan. Okay, that's enough of my blather for 2024. Don't forget you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram with the handle @BreakfastRuins. I'm on Blue Sky, where I'm Stimbot5000. You can email us at breakfastruins@outlook.com. The webpage is breakfastintheruins.com. BITR Breakfast in the Ruins Radio is live on Radio Garden or via the web player at breakfastintheruinsradio.blogspot.com. We have our Patreon page too, and there are a few extra odds and sods on there. But for now, take care, stay safe, and we will meet again soon on the Moonbeam Roads.